Crossover.
Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover.
It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
It is time for the crossover with Matt.
Young Matt.
Young Matt, and not Josh yet. I imagine he'll join us at some point.
Yeah, Joey Colbert's here.
Joey's here. You guys going to fight each other?
No, we're fine for now.
No, I noticed him walking in an hour ago wearing the Celtics hat, just thinking of me after what happened on Friday.
I know. I wanna show some solace to you and your stupidity.
Eventually, you're gonna give that hat to me like you did with that hoodie.
Yeah, I mean that hoodie. It was just like that was like super Celtics mega fan hoodie. Like I could never wear that and be a Bulls fan. This is we're out of basketball season, so I wear other teams' hats until we are in season. To which I won't touch this thing for months. I won't give you this one. I have another Celtics thing I will give you.
Okay.
Because for whatever reason, I have a lot of Philadelphia Eagles gear and I have a lot of Boston Celtics gear. Just a ton of both.
For some reason, I had a Doug McDermott Chicago Bulls jersey. I don't think
for some reason. Number 11, it's a great jersey. It's a great jersey.
I think it was number
3. Was it number 3? So here's the thing.
3.
Dwayne Wade came and then he had to switch to number 11. So he had 3 and then he became 11. That was tough. Very good, Joey.
I was really excited for Dougie McNuggets on draft night, and then he ended up getting traded to the Bulls. I was sad about it.
There were 2 players that the Bulls have drafted that I've never been more excited about. Number 1 was Doug McDermott, and number 2 was Denzel Valentine.
Are you on this Caleb Wilson train with the sperm?
I am.
Have you heard this?
I've seen this. I've seen this.
Invest in some lotion.
Let's just say that I surprisingly am not overreacting to summer league basketball.
I don't know. It's a great take by Bill, though.
And I am not. I'm just saying I'm fully loaded. I haven't lost anything because of Caleb Wilson.
All right.
Some people are fully unloaded.
Yeah, some people are. And according to Bill, if I'm not fully unloaded, then what am I doing? But I am not going to overreact to him doing well in souped up college basketball. I'm not going to do that.
I don't think it's just that he's doing well. It's just the types of things that he's showing.
I watched 2 games.
It's one thing to be doing well.
Yeah.
It's another thing to be doing what he's doing.
I was more impressed with his non-35-point performances because he actually got to the paint and seemed physical and was athletic around the rim. There were people who were flipping out.
Sure feels like you've invested enough analysis into souped-up college basketball as your first.
I've invested enough analysis into the man that people are saying is going to be the next savior from North Carolina of my basketball team. That is what I've. Yeah, no, not for me.
It was Kobe White.
I've watched him, and I go there. I like that he was athletic
You're
around the rim.
zagging on Bill's take.
No, I'm not zagging. I'm just not freaking out to him going on a heater in game 1 and making a bunch of shots he's not going to make in the NBA.
Doing. Should we revisit your Bulls tweets from last October and November?
You should. I mean, this is how I treat the Bulls. I am fully invested for the first 20 games, and then I go. Am I going to invest the rest of my valuable time into this team?
Valuable time?
My time is yes. My time is very valuable. Time is very valuable. I have to spend a lot of time with multiple football teams and multiple leagues. And am I going to invest my time into something that I'm not going to necessarily talk about a ton on the radio?
Very valuable.
It's a very valuable time. Everybody's time is very valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And do I want, once again, I'm not going to talk about the Bulls on the radio. So do I want to spend that time to things I won't talk about?
Bulls on the radio?
Because we're in Omaha.
Because they're terrible.
You don't have to talk about the Bulls on the radio. You don't watch them for your enjoyment anymore.
If the Bulls have not been enjoyable for 5 years,
I don't understand.
I don't talk about the Royals much on the radio, but I watch them.
I know, but I
usually when Jake
once again, this is one of those things where it's like there are other teams I could be watching, other things I could be doing other than watching Bulls basketball if they're not worth it after 20 games. Then I watch.
You're gonna go back on.
Then I watch 10 to 15 games. The 62 out of the 62, I watched 10 to 15 games the rest of the year just to keep track and be like, oh, here's this new guy that they traded at the deadline who's definitely not going to do anything for them in the future.
Right now with the preconceived note, you're already zagging on Bill Simmons' take of the ejaculation after watching Caleb Wilson. So
I'm more so zagging.
So you're going into the preseason with the idea that you don't want to like him. You don't want to, and they won't be good.
That's not true.
And he won't live up to expectations.
That's not true. You're putting words in my mouth.
You're zagging.
Those are your words.
I am treating the Bulls
Just
like
said
they have treated me for the last 10 years with apathy. I am treating them with apathy. I'm going to go in not expecting a lot, and if they pleasantly surprise me through the first 20 games, I can't wait to watch the next 62. But the last 5 years, watched the first 20 games, I was super invested, really watched the first 12, and then they lose to terrible teams, and you're like, Billy Donovan's overrated. This team's going to be in the play-in. Same old, same old. This is what it's been.
Hey, at least you traded your trash center to the Celtics, and he broke his pinky and was out for 2 months. Meanwhile, Baylor Shireman breaks his thumb, and he plays up.
I don't even know what he's talking about. Nikola Vucevic, and somehow it's my fault that Brad Stevens made a bad move. I'm sorry, Joey. I'm not his post coach. I can't make him play better for your sorry ass team.
I'm still
By the way,
recovering.
Matt, I think you got this whole thing wrong. Nobody thinks the Bulls are going to be good this year, but Caleb Wilson could be very helpful to you in the future.
And I don't understand why
I'm keeping all of my sperm right now. Okay. I am not unloading it everywhere.
We'll see.
Because the man did
well
and
your sperm is not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere.
Everyone in Omaha knows that you are strangling it.
Exactly.
At the moment.
I'm keeping it for the future.
There's no one concerned that it's just floating around out there.
What a take. What a take by Bill.
Honestly, everybody's better for it. Being honest.
I don't understand. So what I want to know is why you don't want to lean into the Chicago of it all. You need to have a segment where you're Midway Matt and you just go
Midway Matt.
You go big in on Chicago.
That is awesome.
No, I don't. Once a week, you should have one segment a week where you get to go big in on Chicago. You could have a fun drops with it. You could have the Bears. You could have all of it.
Be a great way to end up on the C scrolls.
You could talk about.
That's great.
You could talk about Ditka and all of the
I don't want to talk about Ditka. I am sick and tired of Ditka. You think I'm sick and tired of talking about previous Nebraska football teams? I'm sick and tired of Ditka.
I'm just saying
that guy is.
I don't understand why you haven't never leaned into this. Like, have one segment where you're.
What do you mean? I've leaned into not being from here the entire time I've been on the zone. That's kind of my bit at this point, that I'm not from here.
The show starts, and I was like, "Hey, are you going to talk about this Chicago related to him?" Like, people always expect me to talk about Chicago.
I mean, there are some things that I don't need to talk about him in Indiana on this radio station. I
didn't
don't
even mention him
That's
in
the
Indiana.
only topic that we've talked about with Chicago.
Well, I did do that one.
It's the funniest one.
The very first show that I ever did on Middays with Matt was the day after the Bears beat the Packers, and I did not talk about the game.
Yeah,
just to kind of
because you're a coward,
right? Your point doesn't even make sense.
I mean, it was just
I mean, one of the more interesting games from the most watched sport in America.
We were coming. I had a lot of heat on me at the time, though, and a lot of that heat was all he does is talk about Chicago. So I was just like, "F you guys," I didn't talk about it.
I still think Midway Matt needs to be a.
I don't know if we'll do a weekly Chicago segment.
Daily.
I mean, if the Bulls do something newsworthy or any of the Chicago teams do something newsworthy, not only will I talk about it, but I'll have great insights.
Why don't you just boil it down to like 10 minutes and do the whole thing in a Chicago accent?
Yeah,
like
a Chicago sports
like
update.
a really heavy Chicago accent. You know,
this week in Chicago,
really
sports,
fluff it up.
Yeah,
with Midway Matt.
You know, I was watching the Bulls game last night.
This is funny.
And let me tell you something. This Devon Carter guy, you know, I went back and I watched his tape.
More Minnesota than
I
Chicago.
watched his tape from when he played at West Virginia. Let me tell you, that's pretty good, eh? Now it's Canadian.
Yeah, I don't know why you threw an A on there, but yeah.
You sound more Minnesota than Chicago.
I'm in my garage here, you know.
There it is.
You know, watching the Bulls game. My name's Rick, and I am the Drive. That's there's 97 whatever the Drive, and there would be like, hey, I'm Tony here from Melrose Park, and I'm just I'm taking a walk right now at the park, and I just wanted to call in and say I'm Tony, and I am the Drive.
Oh man, I want to do that so much. I this has been a personal dream of mine for a long time. I want to have people call in from around the city and be like, and we ask them like, yeah, what's your favorite radio station or whatever, and they say, hey, it's Steve from 60th and L. I just wanted to say I love listening to 1620 The Zone. I think it'll be so funny.
I'm Pat from 155th and Maple, and I am the Zone.
I kind of like the idea of a whip around where it's just different people that call in from spots in Omaha and give their update, and their update is really nothing. They're just telling you where
not what's going on today at 10th and Well, actually, there are a lot of construction, but that's it. Streetcars coming in today.
I'm here on 30th and Farnham, and it's still a mess.
My business just went out of business.
Hey, I'm from inside the void. I don't know how good my reception is right now.
I'm from inside a sinkhole right now. I am the zone.
I am the zone.
I am the zone.
All the way out to 220th and whatever the heck's out there. My God.
In Chicago, Patrick Kane is back, right? Like that's
yeah, for way too much money, but he is back.
That could have been part of Midway Matt's experience.
I'll never forget going to the United Center. It was 2010. My little daughter, Margaret, she was about 8 years old at the time. Man, those memories, man. Duncan, Keith.
We call her
Ben
Peggy
Eager. Yeah, we call her Mags now, but back in the day, she had those little towels they used to whip around, and now she has them in her college dorm. She's actually about to graduate Columbia. I'm very proud of her. I'm Tony, and I am the zone.
This is good.
Yeah, this would have been
perfect.
I can't believe you didn't want to lean into this.
Mm-hmm.
Your idea, man.
Do you know somebody who's like overly Chicago?
Yeah, Mike, my father.
Have him call in.
Yeah, we've been
and just do takes.
He's wanted to.
He could be Mike from the Midway.
The Midway.
This is his place.
There's this guy.
Found a spot for him.
There's this host in ESPN. His name was Shay, and Shay had a buddy named Mitch, and Mitch was from Boston. And Mitch's bit was that he didn't gamble until it was 9 p.m. Eastern time, and then he would only gamble on like Pac-12 After Dark and the Hawaii football games and like Washington State. And so he was called Midnight Mitch. And he would like call in and be like, he in his Boston accent goes, "Hey, Midnight Mitch here. I'm looking at the San Jose State Spartans," and just give a 3-minute just dialogue. He was great. He was awesome. He was like, his winning percentage was like 70%. He was a sharp.
I don't know where they find these people, but yes, we need
to find more of those people.
Characters.
Just idiots. Yeah.
I mean,
total idiot.
I can't believe they don't want to call in.
It's like the Rat Pack. Just get a bunch of idiots.
J-Man goes, Mike from Skokie on line 3.
Absolutely.
Pretty sure Dad would want me to say that he's from Ogden or Oak Lawn. He doesn't want to be Mike from Skokie.
We have found the proper usage for it, though. I think.
Yeah, I mean, we could really get some people with Chicago accents if I wanted to. Potsy's got one. If you ever talk to Potsy,
I know Potsy. Me and Potsy are boys now.
No, you're not.
What do you call following each other on Instagram?
Okay, but have you talked to Potsy?
Bro, if Sydney Sweeney followed you back on Instagram, what would you be saying today? That Sydney Sweeney was your girlfriend. That's true. That's what you'd be saying.
That is true. So is Potsy your boyfriend?
Potsy's my Sydney Sweeney.
Okay.
Whoa.
Yeah. So we are really close, and I feel like I could ask him at any given time anything, especially about fantasy football.
I can't imagine if Potsy was in the hand.
And so I'm excited.
Potsy picked my keepers the other day, so shout out to him. Yeah. We're all good to go. I haven't poisoned you yet.
Any surprising choices?
He really wanted me to keep Drake May, over other position players. He was very adamant about it. He wanted me to keep him over Devontae Adams. He wanted me to keep him over. There was another player that I forget, but he was just like, keep Drake, no matter what, keep Drake.
By the way, I just got a text from the
402 young quarterback over the aging veteran wide receiver.
I thought he would.
Generally an injury risk. That's really out there.
I thought that Potsy would be like, hey, tougher schedule for New England. Maybe some better positional value across your roster, whatever it might be. He could. I think he was QB2 last year. It could end up being, taking a step back. And typically in this league, you don't need. Probably going to be one of two people who keeps a quarterback.
Matt, just so you know, I don't care what Potsy knows or doesn't know about fantasy football. I just care that
You think that he is?
Yes.
The golden.
He is the golden goose. He is. He is the golden goose of fantasy football.
Just so you know, that's all I care about.
The guy wins a league.
I do not respect. The
guy wins a league
every
single year. Okay, I go to him every question. You can go back to my text.
Is he in your league?
No, he is not.
Right.
He's just a school teacher. Yeah. He's a gym teacher, and he's on it.
I'm gonna get you on this.
What's on the text line?
Expected text from the 402 here at 103rd and 4th. There's a cop at the gas station just chilling. Is that the QT?
I'm 402 and I am the zone.
I'm texter from the 402 and I am the zone.
Every time you call in on Middays with Matt,
we got to cover from everywhere, from Irvington to Papillion.
I want you to tell me exactly where you are, and I want you to end your call with "I am Randy and I am the Zone."
Every time
I am Bill, I am the Zone.
Station made you a winner.
Yes,
you wouldn't have watched it. I don't know if Happer would have watched. Did you ever see Entourage?
No, but I'm familiar.
There's like this line that the guy who's the actor does that it's supposed to be this big line that puts him over the top, and it's "I am Queens Boulevard," and that's basically what I'm hearing every time.
I am Nebraska ball Mike, and I am the Zone.
That's right.
I am Andrew, and I am the Zone.
That's right.
I am Denver Broncos fan Eric, and I am the Zone.
I am Brad from the Charlotte Chamber of Commerce. I am from the Zone.
I want that guy to call back. Some people hated that guy. I thought he was so. I thought Duke's Mayo Bowl Brad was awesome. I thought he was hysterical.
By the way, we just got to do we? But I was looking forward to all of the Josh Hodgson teases of the Big Red Overreaction, but I thought we would know by now.
I think we have one dropping soon.
I'm getting. Oh, okay. I was
getting.
What
someone say schedules?
So speaking of things that are dropping, how about a pair of exhibitions? Could I interest you in exhibitions?
Sure.
Are you not interested?
Wow.
Not really.
I don't have to tell you.
Don't tell him. Just tell me.
I can read it right now.
No.
Matt, take your headphones off.
Just don't plug your ears. All right. Nebraska basketball is good. Joey, shut him off. Nebraska basketball is going to play an exhibition in Grand Island.
Whoa.
Grand Island against Kansas State on October 26th. And Nebraska volleyball is going to have a red-white scrimmage on August 16th.
A teen.
Yes. And that is going to be at Pinnacle Bank Arena.
Whoa. Wow.
Why do they not play volleyball anymore?
Do they hate the John Cook Arena?
There's something that they're doing construction-wise that is just like preventing them from playing home games there.
Okay.
Yeah, are they adding a bunch of seats, right?
I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
Tickets for the inter-squad scrimmage, along with the regular season match against Creighton on September 16th, go on sale Thursday, July 30th. That's this Thursday. You could buy tickets this Thursday.
Cool.
To that match and the Creighton match.
Cool.
Just thought I'd keep people aware of what the news is.
Can't wait for people to be like, I wasn't able to get a seat. This sucks.
Oh, yeah.
What the hell?
Ken in Omaha writes in, my favorite radio station is 1620 DAZN. Go Jays, baby.
I am Ken and I am the Zone.
I am Ken and I am the Zone. 2 texts ago, it says, I am Kenneth and I am an alcoholic.
I was going to say.
Sorry, wrong meeting.
We're going into just very, very dangerous territory.
Zonaholics?
Zonaholics.
Now, that would be some good branding.
That would be. That's like the YouTube. That's like the YouTube. Like, hey, what's up, my Mennonites? You know, what's up, Happer's Hive? Connor here.
How do I get over my
Is it Zonaholics
zonaholism?
Anonymous or is it just Zonaholics?
How do I get over my zonaholism?
I don't know. Take a walk, touch grass.
Do I have to go listen to something else?
Probably.
That would be terrible.
That's never been easier.
Just listen to
drive you further into the zone.
Just listen to the Fairly Odd Couple.
Yeah, you're obsessed with those guys. You really like talking about them.
No,
you like
Schaefer is.
You like tweeting about them. You know, one guy was a high school state champion. The other one covered high school state championships, which is the lamest intro of all time. Though,
Rob Parker and is it Kelvin?
Rob Parker.
Why do you say it like
That's what they say in the open.
Rob Parker.
That's what they say in the open. That's exactly how they say it.
I listened to the Fairly Odd Couple once, and they started with the Belgium national anthem. The United States lost to Belgium, and they started playing the Belgium national anthem. I was like, that's a pretty good bit.
The joke here, Matt, is that I always refer to it as the Fairly Odd Couple. It's just the Odd Couple.
Yeah. There's a lot of those. There's the Odd Couple, the Odds Couple, the Fairly Odd Couple. People love odds in sports. That's all we're doing now. We're just doing the odds. I'm Matt, and I am the Zone.
There was a point in time where people loved it.
Now people are rejecting it.
We should like what are the most common like basketball podcast names, you know, and see if those are actually like do you think there's a backdoor cut podcast right now?
Swish.
Yeah.
Through the net.
Through the net podcast.
I do know the guys. I met the guys in Vegas a couple years ago. The 3-man weave guys.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good one.
Guys.
Through the Net podcast. Is that
Through
available?
The Net sounds like its entire podcast is examining each week's net rankings and why they're incredibly wrong.
Sounds like a show on the ticket. But it probably is. I bet it is.
About my
Who
internet's
knows
not
what's
working.
going on, but I bet it is.
Through the Net, Through the Net podcast.
It's not on the ticket.
NBA analysis, personal hoop stories, interviews, and honest conversations about the game we love, hosted by James Macy.
Wow.
About let's see if the Backdoor Cut podcast exists.
Backdoor Cut, good one.
Backdoor Cut podcast.
Bank.
The Backdoor Cut podcast, YouTube, a GAA versus AFL, a dual sports journey with Barry O'Connor.
Bank shot. Free throw.
Bank shot podcast.
Schaefer's leaving. He's like, I'm over this podcast.
I got to go golf.
He has to go play golf.
Bank shot is a journey into values-driven leadership where purpose meets practice. Bank shot podcast.
Pick and roll.
Pick and roll. Pick and roll.
Now,
podcast.
If there was a drop coverage podcast
hosted
by Ryan
Kalkbrenner
and Greg McDermott.
Pick and roll. Unwrapped, the Pick and Roll podcast, a series bringing you stories, insights, and analysis from one of the most trusted sources for all things Australian basketball.
Everybody is always bringing you the most insight.
Drop
Can you
coverage.
think of a podcast that isn't bringing you the most insight?
We should put that on Middays with Matt's analysis. Giving you the most surface level analysis you could ever dream of.
I can't emphasize this enough. I have no insight. None.
I am no different than you listening in the car.
But I can put a sentence together, unlike some of you yahoos.
Yes. I am Connor and I am the zone.
I am Connor and I am
All right,
the
this
zone.
is the last one. Drop coverage NBA podcast by Kyle C. Jordan. The Drop Coverage podcast is your source for NBA analysis, including game recaps, team profiles, and other topics.
He's got. Oh, okay. All right. I thought he had another thing.
How about
almost accountability?
How about Bobby Knight Through That Chair podcast?
I bet there's something along those lines. The angry old man podcast.
Bob Knight, Throwing Chairs and Legendary Tamper, an iHeartRadio exclusive.
Okay, it's just an episode.
It's just an episode, but it's out there.
Oh, it's out there.
Is there more? How about the Gortat Screen podcast?
You're actually good with these. I'll give you credit.
All right, if this is it, then we're done. If this exists, I'm okay. There's not a podcast. There's just a Legend Behind the Gortat Screen YouTube video.
Marcin Gortat. That guy was awesome.
Does that guy get any royalties for that? Because we talk about the Gortat Screen more than we actually talk about his career with the Washington Wizards.
That's probably true.
Like that,
I don't think you get royalties.
We are getting
nobody's like profiting off of it.
We are getting to the point where there are young people who say the Gortat Screen, but they don't actually know who Marcin Gortat is.
Yeah, they probably don't.
They have no idea about his career.
The Washington Wizards.
Back from 2013 with Bradley Beal and John Wall and Otto Porter Jr. People forget about Otto.
Where they do. Kids probably don't know who George Mikan is. They do the Mikan drill.
That is true.
You know,
that is true. People do not know who George Mikan is.
Laker legend.
But very good, Joey Goldberg.
Exactly. He
has thoughts.
Did you ever do the Mikan drill, Joey?
I did not pay attention. I just knew he played for the Minneapolis Lakers.
They don't, and nobody knows who Jordan Weave is, but we all do the 3-man weave.
I wish Jordan Weave was a guy.
Exactly.
That'd be awesome.
Existed.
He'd probably be pretty mad right now.
No one talks about Michael Crabbe, yet we all do the crab dribble.
That's true. The Michael Crabtree.
The Michael Crabtree dribble.
Text from the 402.
Alan Crabb was a player, though, for the Portland Trailblazers.
I want this to be, if somebody out there is listening to this and is starting a podcast anytime soon, please put your description as exactly this. Bringing you the most average insight on nothing since right now.
Yes. Josh, we got something we need to do.
Yep.
Got to change the podcast description.
This is it. The most nothing that you will ever get. There's really no reason for you to listen.
You know what? That should be the Big Ten Media Day slogan. The most nothing you will ever get. The Big Ten Media Days in Chicago, Illinois, in the most inconvenient weekend in Chicago kind of tourist history.
That is most definitely.
Have you heard about this Lollapalooza and
I've heard about this.
The sport collecting convention?
I did not know about that part.
So there's 100,000 people that'll be in Rosemont, Illinois who will be going to the Sport
It's
Collector.
down the road.
It's about 45 minutes away. But if you wanted to get
down the road.
Yeah, it's down the road.
Yeah. It's
Down the interstate. There you go.
I don't think that will make a difference.
No. But if you wanted to, if you're like, hey, I'm
Lollapalooza definitely will, because you could literally hear it from the Chicago Hilton.
There'll be 500,000 people in Chicago.
I know. I've been to media days at that hotel when Lollapalooza is descending on town.
I thought you were going to say that you've been to Lollapalooza, which is on my bingo card.
I basically have been.
No, you haven't. If you haven't been, you haven't been.
I watched it happen from my hotel room.
That's like saying like you've played NFL football by watching the NFL.
I've been to if you like.
I basically played in the league. I've watched them do it.
I've basically been, like if you've been to that hotel that's in the Rogers Center, have you watched the Blue Jays play? Yes, you have. Of course you have.
But you
watched the whole thing.
But you can't say that you've been to a Blue Jays
Basically
game.
saying you've been to Kentucky when you're flying over that state to get to Nashville.
Yeah, sure.
Well, if I'm flying over Churchill Downs while the Kentucky Derby is happening, I didn't go to the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, I saw it though.
Yeah, you saw Lollapalooza, but you haven't been to Lollapalooza.
It's the same as
I
watching
never
it
said
on the big screen.
I said I saw it.
By the way, that would be a massive upset if you went to Lollapalooza. Like, Lollapalooza is actually anti-Connor Happer. When I think of things that are the opposite of Connor Happer,
I like music.
a 100,000 person per day music festival.
No.
That might be a graphic idea.
Where there's just a bunch of young underage people who are drunk and
right.
high.
I definitely hate young, drunk, and high people for sure.
Yeah,
but
not the music part. I think the music
don't
part.
like new music.
No. The music part is probably the most accurate thing to you. But the influx of people and debauchery that is happening there is definitely anti-hap.
Although I'm a little bit freaked out by some of these artists' names.
Can you give me what artist scares you the most?
That is a great question.
Wow, they got a great lineup this year.
Pick a day. Pick a day.
Let's go Friday. Friday's always the most hectic.
Friday.
That's probably always the most variety.
All the artists that are performing on Friday. Charlie XCX and Smashing Pumpkins are the headliners. All right,
dude, I would go to a Smashing Pumpkins concert.
And then we have the following, some of which I have heard of: Lil Uzi Vert, yes. Youngblood, probably not.
Yeah, you've heard of
Major
Youngblood.
Lazer, yes. Not for radio, no. Zara Larson, yes. Okay, now we're getting into the fun stuff.
Oh, let's do it.
Freddie Gibbs, Suki Waterhouse.
Suki Waterhouse could be a lot of different things.
I-Ol, Mustard.
It's Idle, I-D-L-E.
Okay, well, is there a space in there somewhere?
Yeah, so it's like I-D-L-E. It's supposed to be cool.
Oakloo.
Wait. You just skipped over Mustard?
Not DJ Mustard. I said Mustard.
Just straight up Mustard.
I said Mustard. Horse Girl, The Story So Far, Loathe, Netspend, Side Piece, Sky Newman, Notion, Roz, Balu Brigada, Line Eye, Mother, Julia Wolf, Slayer with 2 Y's. Oh no,
3.
Slayer with 3 Y's and a T.
Slater.
Claire Rosencrantz, 54 Ultra, High Viz, Something Wolfhard, Avello, Party of 2, The Army, The Navy. That's a great band name. Love Spells, Ella Red, Paloma Morphe, Day We Ran, Ivory, Ella Bon, Bradizi. That's awesome. Emmy Grace, Benno, Chicago Made, Valencia Grace, and Whitney.
So first off, some of these just sound like different types of Oakley sunglasses.
They do.
High Viz, 54 Ultra.
They do.
Have you ever had these Bradizi Oakley sunglasses before?
Yeah.
They're polarized, but they're extra polarized. They're double polarized.
What was the one that I liked? I liked the Army, the Navy.
I thought there
Check
was
out the Army, the Navy. They're both there.
I thought there was a space between the Army and the Navy. So I just thought they were both performing at different times.
No, it's one
the
band.
Army is here and the Navy is
The
here.
Army, the Navy. Yep.
There's some Whitney is a little like, all right, I get it. Paloma Morphe. How do you get there?
No idea.
The Paloma Morphe sounds like a $18 drink that you can find at the Scuffed Olive.
Well, I mean, a Paloma.
Yeah.
But I wonder what the Morphe part is.
Probably
Doesn't
drugs.
sound all that appealing.
I'm trying to see if there are any other good names on Saturday or Sunday.
Oh, there are plenty.
Oh, funny enough, on Saturday, the band Sunday is playing.
Nice. Well,
That's
they can't
kind
play
of-
on Sunday. It's
yeah.
Sunday, it's over.
Tate McRae, though, going to be there.
Yeah, I figured you'd like that one.
Well, Olivia Dean, I've been listening. Have you listened to a lot of Olivia Dean? Come be the man I need, Connor Happer.
I very much like her. She's good.
She is great. She's a little like Adele. She's got some Adele vibes to her.
Whoa. She does?
Oh, yeah.
I don't get that.
I get some Adele vibes.
In what way?
There are some of the emotional songs that she sings in which she tells a story, which is very Adele of her. Like she tells.
I thought you just meant like
she can be poppy.
A very different presence.
No, 1,000,000%. But I'm saying in her songs, like there are some poppy songs that she sings that are just very like, whatever. They're just a theme. But then there are also some songs that she sings that it's like, I'm telling my story. Like this happened to me, and I am gonna like belt it. And that's what Adele does. But that's all Adele does. Which I love her. She's a songbird of our generation.
All right, one more. Cody writes in, I am 39. I've never heard of Gortat or the Gortat screen. I am Cody in downtown, and I'm the zone.
Thank you, Cody.
Thank you, Cody.
Thank you, Cody. Thank you so much. I cannot wait for you to watch Sunshine Benzie one day at the
I'm excited to see what Sunshine Benzie's up to. Yeah, I would see it from my hotel room if I were going to Middays, which I am not.
That and he follows up Case Oats, which sounds like a type of thing that Quaker has like released. It's like a new style of oat. You ever have Case Oats before? They got more protein than ever. Queso. Queso, Tominaga.
Could be that too.
What if you were just reading the Lollapalooza lineup and it just says Queso Tominaga?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody named their band that.
Yeah. How many thousands of Nebraskans would just show up to watch Queso Tominaga have a shooting just practice? 10,000?
Well, I'm just saying, how much more likely would you to show up at like a bar if you heard the band Keisei Tominaga was playing?
Way higher. Okay, wait. I got a question. Who would draw more people to stay at the North Dakota game? Cole Swindell or Keisei just doing a shooting practice afterwards? Hey, after the North Dakota game, we're just going to have Keisei shoot for 45 minutes, and you can all show up and watch him do a workout. Yeah. How many people would stay after the game more? For
it's
that
still
or Cole
the country
Swindell?
Guy, but maybe they should have him do it off to the side.
That's the crossover. Josh is back. Josh Watson is back here. So Middays with Matt. We'll start up after this break here in the 1620 Zone Radio Network.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people. Whose car are we gonna take?
I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest.
That's an absolutely horse crap call. Make room for Daddy. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Chicago is.
This is Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Middays Matt live and rolling on the 1620 Zone Radio Network. Matt McMaster is always joined by Josh Odson. JL, how was your weekend?
Good weekend. Good.
Glad
to be back here, though.
Me as well. As today's a pretty special day. We are just one day away from NFL training camp fully starting across the league. We already have numerous teams who their veterans have reported to this various training camps, such as the Arizona Cardinals, the Carolina Panthers, the LA Rams, the New England Patriots veterans are in Foxborough, along with the San Francisco 49ers, the Seattle Seahawks, and that's just about it so far. Tomorrow, everybody else across the league will report to their training camps. We will talk today on the eve of basically the NFL season. I'm gonna call it. The NFL season is basically beginning tomorrow, okay? When we get into training camp and all the beat reporters are out there and they're telling you about new coaches and different strategies and how certain players have spent their off seasons trying to get better, that's when we have begun the NFL season. That's what I'm saying, because I'm sick about this stuff. So we will talk about that today. I'm going to give you a couple of my favorite NFL training camp storylines as we are currently watching ESPN right now. And their headline is, has Stephen Curry's championship window closed? Man, you know it's slow. If that's what we're talking about in July.
Seems like yes.
Jeez.
Gonna go out on a limb there.
This is what a first take without Stephen A. Smith looks like. We start talking about whether or not a 37-year-old point guard's championship window is open or closed, which, by the way, did not know SummerSlam is this weekend. If I really cared about the WWE, I would have known that for sure. I don't really. Anyway, we'll talk about the NFL training camp today. I'll give you a couple of my favorite storylines heading into this training camp season, which will then obviously head into the NFL season, and we will be bringing plenty of updates when it comes to the National Football League and what's happening at training camp. I've always found that reading like beat reporters reports from across the league during training camp are some of my favorite things to do, just because of the insights. I mean, like, say what you want about ESPN and, you know, maybe other networks and publications, but NFL beat writers are the creme de la creme, in my opinion, when it comes to writing just in terms of content across media. I mean, there are so many super talented writers who are beat reporters for NFL teams across the league. So always enjoy reading that, and we'll make sure to disseminate that to you and talk to you about it and give our opinions on it as we move through the NFL season. Also, it's Big Ten Media Week. Hell yes, in Chicago, the brightest minds of the Big Ten will meet to talk to the media about their upcoming seasons, their previous seasons, head coaches such as Jed Fish, head coach such as Kyle Winningham, Lincoln Riley, David Braun, Pat Fitzgerald, Luke Fickell, and Matt Rule, of course, will talk to the media at some point this week. Josh Odson and I will have a little bit of fun in terms of predicting some of the things that Matt Rule might say during his availability on Thursday. We'll also talk about what are some of the themes going to be for the Big Ten in a macro perspective during their meetings this week. The theme for the Big 12 was, we need more teams to spend money. That was the consistent conversation that was being had by coaches throughout the Big 12 media days. We need more teams to invest in their football team so we can be better, so we can sit at the big boy table, was a theme. The theme of ACC media days was, who knows? I didn't pay attention and didn't really read anything of interest, because outside of Miami and maybe Clemson, who's overly interesting in the ACC, I find SMU to be very interesting. We'll talk about that.
I find Louisville to be interesting.
Oh, that's a good one, Josh Odson. Very good. I find Louisville to be interesting too. Very sneaky. Yeah, maybe not sneaky to people who've been watching college football over the last couple of years, but maybe the casual people telling them that Louisville has had quite a very decent, very good history in college football over the last 5, 6, 7 years. That's not sneaky at all. But we'll talk about the Big Ten because the SEC's theme was we are going to secede and we are not happy. And the college football playoff is out to get us. And the NCAA, they're a bunch of dummies. We might leave. Don't test us. What's the Big Ten's theme going to be? I think it's probably going to be very simple, if you ask me. And, not that Tony Petitti is going to do this anyway, but I don't think you have to reinvent the wheel. Tony actually might be the best guy to not reinvent the wheel because I just don't think his ideas go past the wheel. I think he's just always been fine to sit there and be like, yeah, we're good. Yeah, we want more teams to the playoff. Yeah, we'd like more money. Like he's not like your Mark and Sankey where he tries to, twist things and be super creative. But if I'm being honest with it, I know I might be defending Tony Petitti here. But when your teams win the national championship every single year, do you really need to reinvent the wheel? Do you really need to do anything new and creative to make people recognize that your conference is great? Probably not. When you got Indiana, Ohio State, and Michigan winning the last 3 national championships with Oregon. Breaking news: Oregon is a part of the Big Ten Conference. I don't know if you knew that. Very well might be the next team to win a national championship, which it'd be one thing if the Big Ten were to win 4 national championships in 4 seasons. That's one thing. It'd be an entirely different conversation if they were to do it with 4 different teams. I feel like that's another added note to it, to be like, it's not just one team dominating this entire thing. It's not just 2 teams dominating this entire sport. It's every, a good portion of our league, nearly 25% of our league has won a national title in the last 4 years because they've been able to discover new and creative ways to not only acquire talent, but develop that talent. And so it'd be a very, very interesting this season, which is why I think this college football season is fascinating to me because there's just so many different storylines that are embedded within conferences, within teams, within coaches. And there's a lot of different results that can happen throughout this year. And the Big Ten will preview some of those results at Media Days. Matt Rule speaks Thursday. Kurt Signetti will be on the podium along with Kyle Winningham. So Nebraska probably gets 3rd billing in terms of notable importance when Rule talks, but we'll talk about some of the things that Rule might talk about. We'll have some fun with it. We'll be serious about it. We'll touch up everywhere in terms of throughout the week in terms of what's going on at Big Ten Media Days. The Athletic, and more specifically Scott Docterman, released the Athletics Big Ten preseason all team. So Big Ten first team, Big Ten second team, Big Ten third team. Who represented Nebraska and how many players represented Nebraska? There's also some interesting tidbits too that came out of the Docterman all Big Ten preseason teams article. We'll talk about the teams that had the most representation. We'll talk about some just interesting little tidbits in terms of former Huskers and maybe potential storylines that will play into the season just based off of Docterman's rankings. We did have one Nebraska Cornhusker make the all Big Ten first team, according to Scott Docterman and the Athletic. So we'll touch on who that player is. I think if you've been following the team this offseason and you've been listening to Middays with Matt or really any of the shows here on 1620 The Zone, you'll be able to guess who that individual is. There's also there's one player who's on the offense/defense all Big Ten first team. There's also another Nebraska Cornhusker who's in the first team special teams ranking. So we'll talk about that individual as well. We have some I'll just say this. No fancy broadcast critique needed for this. UNLV. What's going on?
Yeah, what's this? They're for sale?
They're for sale. You could buy UNLV basketball right now for the small price of $10 to $12 million. You can buy UNLV basketball. Does that interest you, Josh Hodson? If you had $10 to $12 million to spare, would you say, oh, honey, I made a purchase today. I bought a college basketball team?
It does actually interest me because it seems like kind of a low number.
It seems like a very low number. Now, I have a lot of questions, and I have read numerous articles, Josh Hodson, Do you know how many answers I've found to my questions?
Oh, I'm going to guess none.
None. Not one. Not one at all. So we'll talk about UNLV. Have a good time talking.
I mean, they went 500 last year. They're not.
They were 11-9 in the Mountain West
Yeah.
last year. I mean, it's not that they're, and also too, they're a pretty historic college basketball team. They've won a national championship in their history. It's not like you're not buying Kennesaw State. No offense to Kennesaw State. You're buying UNLV basketball, a once very, very proud college basketball program for this. I'm going to keep saying it. I know it's paradoxical when I say small price behind $10 to $12 million, but it seems like all these billionaires want to be owners, and yet it's not just being a billionaire anymore that gets you a pro franchise. You have to be worth more money than God to do it. And I'm not being hyperbolic. Seattle Seahawks got sold for $9 billion. I mean, it's just getting into the very exclusive group of sports ownership. Used to be, in relativity, way easier than it is now, to technically be able to go to a bar and say, hey, buddy, I own UNLV basketball, and it only, once again, I know, paradoxical, only costs you $12 million is quite interesting. Quite interesting.
I mean, I guess that's more than LeBron James is making.
There was an Athletic article that really delved into how many actual college basketball players are making more than LeBron James, which, by the way, what a layup for sport writing in July.
Yeah.
That you can just, oh, thank God. You know, we get to combine two things. LeBron taking a pay cut and college basketball players making more than $4 million. I didn't read the article. I feel like I could do a pretty decent job of guessing some of the players who would be on that list. Monchilovich for Kentucky, he's got to be up there. John Blackwell for Duke, he's definitely up there. I wouldn't be surprised if Badunga is up there as well for Louisville. I mean, there's probably, I haven't read the article. If I had to guess, I'd probably put that number around maybe 10 to 12 players. I mean, there are plenty of guys who could have went to the second round of the NBA draft and opted not to, which is why, you know, there were plenty of articles written by NBA executives being like the second round has never been worse in the NBA, because all those quality players have now figured out that they can make more than LeBron James by going back to college. By the way, what's a better brag? Being a guy who, or a woman, guy or gal, who can say, I own UNLV basketball, or being a college basketball player who says, I make more than LeBron James? What's the better brag?
Definitely the college athlete, because
without a doubt,
you find yourselves in circles where, you know, there's just your math class, like you're just in with quote unquote regular college kids.
Yes, like, seriously. I mean, way more back then than now.
Hey, Frank, what'd you get on number 3? By the way, I make more than LeBron James. Like, it's a regular conversation in colleges all across this country.
Do you think any of those guys in the Athletic articles list is tempted to get a tattoo that says, I make more than LeBron James?
Bit wordy, but yeah, something.
Some businesses still know how business gets done. I make more money than LeBron James. I'm not that LeBron fan that knows his middle name, by the way. Do you know LeBron's middle name? LeBron's middle name, which, by the way, I can just type in LeBron's middle name in LeBron Ramon James.
Whoa, okay.
I knew that. I did know it was Ramon. I make more money than LeBron Ramon James. Do you know Tom Brady's full name?
Oh, whoa. No.
Thomas Patrick Edward Brady.
Classic.
I mean, come on. That's the biggest layup.
Classic Magoosh middle name.
I had a buddy, my buddy Jimmy. His name is like Donald Thomas Edward Muff III, something like that. Which, by the way, yeah,
one of those words is not like the other.
By the way, real quick, how do you get from Donald to Jimmy? You know, your name. You know what? It might be Donald James Muff, Donald Edward James Muff, something like that.
I feel like you're hung up on the wrong part of that name.
What, Muff? You can't make. I mean, that's his last name. You don't.
Oh, that's his last name.
That's his last name.
Okay.
He's Jim Muff.
I thought there was a name after that, which would make that one of his middle.
No.
names,
Muff is period, end of story.
which is a choice, by the way. Middle name is a choice.
Two middle names is a choice.
Yeah,
I would be tempted to give my kid two middle names.
you would.
Because
Why?
here's why I'm thinking about it. I'm not too far removed from being in 6th grade. All right.
Famously.
So it's like, at the beginning of the year where the teacher doesn't know anybody's names and she has to read off the full names. It'd be funny if my kid was just like Ben McMaster, but then the teacher would have to read off Benjamin Michael Hamilton Edward McMaster. That would be funny. I'm playing it for the bit, Josh.
I like it.
I'm using my kids for gimmicks.
It's a long play, but I like it.
Oh yeah, very long play. Which, by the way, my kid won't be named that. Remember, my kid will be named Michael Hamilton, as it says on the board.
That's right.
I
called you a madman.
Yes, they call me a madman plenty of times, and we will talk about many mad topics, such as UNLV selling their basketball team. We'll also have the biggest storylines that will be dominating training camp, according to me. We'll also talk about Matt Rule and the Big Ten and their media days beginning this week, specifically beginning tomorrow. And then additionally, there were some very interesting stories that happened just throughout sports this week. We'll talk about some young guns who made some pretty big impacts. A couple of young athletes' lives changed yesterday, both in golf and in NASCAR. We'll touch on that quickly. And not so much of a fun story, but a very impressive story from a man who I'm pretty sure is on the dead to us list. Can we pull up the dead to us list real quickly here? I don't know I'm pretty sure this guy is on the dead to us list.
Haven't updated it a lot this summer.
No, we haven't. But it will be more prominent once I start losing college football bets. Once that starts to occur,
classic.
There will be more people like Dominique Daniels Jr., who very famously screwed up a bet of mine when he played Kansas in the Kentucky or in
he
the
wrote
NCAA
a letter
tournament.
of contrition, but it didn't mean anything.
It meant zero to me. Oh, John P. Forget about John P., the Pro Football Focus man, who's on there. Albert Breer, Chris Stallions, Chris Sims, or Connor Stallions, Chris Sims, Puxatawny Phil, the Pearls. Oh, Bruce, yes. I forgot about Bruce. Alex Cora, Seth Davis, the Flu, Mitch Marner, the Toronto Maple Leafs, Jackson Richardson. That's the young man who committed to Creighton. There was a whole article written about him committing to Creighton, and then he committed to Alabama. Everybody knows biggest basketball rivalry, Alabama versus Creighton. Auburn basketball. Wow, I really hated Auburn back in the fall or back in the spring. And Chris Collinsworth, all on the dead to us list. Shockingly, Flavian Pratt, not on there. We'll talk about why later in the show. Let's hit a break here on 1620 Zone Radio Network.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Go to the YouTube chat. Hokisker writes, Jimmy, he's referring to one of our great commenters, Jimmy. He goes, I'm surprised I'm not on Matt's Dead to Us list. I love Hokisker. I don't care that people disagree with me and that Hokisker is now obsessed with the fact that I actually like Maryland heading into this season. Okay? Just because you disagree with me doesn't mean you're on the Dead to Us list. It's just when you're an asshat is when you're on the Dead to Us list, which that's what the Dead to Us list has. Everybody in common on the Dead to Us list has one. Everybody has one commonality, and that's at some point in time, they're an asshat to me or to people. Connor Scallion's not that way to me, but that way to a lot of people. John P. of PFF. Real pain in the tuchus, okay, to me. And in particular, my bank account that I have to pay $120 for a service that won't nearly be as good this season as last season. Regardless, though, we'll use plenty of Pro Football Focus throughout the entirety of the college football season, which, if we're saying that the NFL season, according to Matt McMaster, begins tomorrow, because that's when all the NFL teams will be in training camp. We already listed about the 7 or 8 teams that are in training camp right now. The college football season has basically got to start in a week, right? I mean, after the Big Ten Media Days, that's when almost all the teams across the country will be in their fall camps. And so let's talk about Big Ten Media Days. Let's talk about the Big Ten preseason rankings that were released by Scott Docterman of The Athletic.
What's up, Doc?
What's up, Doc? I've been in an elevator with Scott Docterman.
Whoa.
I've been in an elevator with Scott Docterman multiple times, actually.
A brush with greatness.
I'm going to tell you something right now. That guy was like running court in the elevators, you know? Like every time Scott would walk in,
oh yeah,
he'd talk to somebody or whatever. Like I guess he had breakfast with the associate commissioner of the Big Ten and was telling people about it, and then released some sort of Big Ten article earlier in the day that, by the way, so he walks into the elevator and someone goes, hey, great article today, Scott. I would love to do that one day. I'd love to walk into an elevator and somebody that maybe I barely know goes, hey, great segment today, Matt. You know, that'd be pretty cool. It'd be pretty dope. Got to work to it. Anyway,
there's a way to get there.
Mr. Docterman went ahead and released his preseason Big Ten teams. First team, second team, and third team, which I think I give him a ton of credit. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do, going through all those players, and it requires an immense amount of knowledge of what the teams are having this season and who's coming back, and transfer portal guys and returners and whatnot. And I think he did, all things considered, a pretty decent job. 3 Nebraska Cornhuskers are on preseason Big Ten teams this year. First team, all interior and offensive lineman, Justin Evans. All went ahead on Scott Docterman's first team all offense for the Big Ten. Docterman wrote about Justin Evans. He said, Evans is the nation's top-ranked returning center, according to PFF. Evans, who shifted from guard to center last year, has 31 career starts and paved the way for first-team All-American running back Emmett Johnson last year. The other interior offensive lineman that he has is Cade Piper, junior out of Iowa. He was a guard last season for the Joe Moore Award-winning Iowa Hawkeye offensive line. He also will be a center, which is interesting. That's why they went interior offensive lineman, because if they were doing that, Evans would be more than likely, just based off projections, on the second team All Big Ten, right? Because a lot of people are Piper ahead of him right now. We'll see how that happens throughout the season. And then he has Mpani Leilolu, who's a guard for Oregon. Oregon leads the way, by the way, with 13 players. 13 players, according to Scott Docterman, on the All Big Ten first, second, and third teams. Behind Oregon, Ohio State has 11, and behind Ohio State, Indiana has 10. Now, something to note here, Indiana actually has the most players on the first team All Big Ten list. They have 6 players on the all first team Big Ten list. Oregon and Ohio State both have 5. We'll dive in a couple interesting tidbits from Ohio State's numbers we'll dip into in a second. But if you're going off of Nebraska's schedule, Nebraska, between the big three, Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana, will play 34 players in those 3 games alone that are on the preseason All Big Ten teams list, according to Scott Docterman. So interesting little tidbit there. Nebraska also has another player on the All Big Ten first team list, according to Doc. It is Ja'Cory Barney Jr. Barney, this is what Docterman writes about Ja'Cory. Barney averaged 12.3 yards per punt return and 21.2 yards per kick return last fall and did not score a special teams touchdown. Once he breaks a return, those averages will soar. The old adage, right, that you learn from watching and learning and listening about football is if you can get a first down off of a punt return, that's massive, right? You want those 10 yards, get an extra first down. Ja'Cory, I thought last year, and I don't think this is a hot take by any regard, was super impressive what he did in the punt return game. To have him be that dynamic. And I mean, that's the one thing that we kind of glaze over sometimes just a little bit. And I think it'll be more of a point as we get closer to the season is that special teams objectively won Nebraska multiple games last season. I mean, you win that Northwestern game because of a kick return touchdown. You win, there are other factors that played into the Maryland game, right? But having that return that went down to the 5-yard line was a very big factor in winning that game. I even harken back to the Cincinnati game where they just dominated field positioning that entire game because of the job that Archie Wilson was able to do throughout the entirety of that contest. And so having Ja'Cory back as a return specialist, we'll see what happens in kick return. I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but Ja'Cory's kick return or punt return numbers thought he was way more dynamic in that part of the game than he was in the kick returning part of the game. And I do think that this team, that Nebraska last season, suffered when Kenneth Williams went down with an injury and wasn't able to return kicks on kickoff, and was given to Ja'Cory. Funny enough, speaking about Kenneth Williams, he transferred. Do you know where Kenneth Williams transferred to? Josh Otson?
Oh, I hope you weren't going to call on me.
You're the only person I could call on, Bueller. Unfortunately, you're the only person in this classroom that's also known as Middays with Matt.
I don't know. The audience can roast me. It's fine.
No, you're not. No, first off, you don't get roasted. Everybody loves you. You are arguably have the highest Q rating of people here on 1620 The Zone. I hope you know that, okay? I get multiple emails a week saying how lucky I am to be with you, which, by the way, they're totally correct. So, no, you can do no wrong. Just guess. Come on. You got it. We talked. Austin Jacobson was in here, and off the air, we talked about what team he was playing for. You know it. You know it.
Oregon, Iowa.
No, he didn't go to Oregon. We would talk nonsensical if he went to Oregon. Michigan State. He's at Michigan State.
Who would go to Michigan State by choice?
Well, Pat Fitzgerald did.
Well, I don't know that he had a lot of other options, but
you know what? I mean, it's probably the best option he had.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly. I mean, we'll see. I love talking about Michigan State with Tim Verghese because he's got a lot of insight on that. And I do think that it'll be a very interesting year and a team that Nebraska plays. It's their first Big Ten game of the season. Kenneth Williams, by the way, is on this list. He is all Big Ten second team return specialist, according to Scott Docterman. On top of that, Kyle Cunanan is third team all Big Ten as a kicker, which means that last season, Nebraska had, according to Scott Docterman, 3 different players who were all Big Ten in terms of returning, kicking, and special teams and all that type of stuff, which I think goes to show you not only the job that Nebraska did as a special teams unit, but you also have to give credit to Mike Eckler because these were players, 2 of them, Barney and Williams, who were on the team before when that special teams unit was terrible, who he utilized in order for them to be effective last year in the special teams area. And then on top of that, Kyle Cunanan Jr., who was a transfer from Cal. Remember, he was a pretty late addition last season for Nebraska. And so
Fernando Mendoza.
Yes.
Transfer from Cal.
He did. He did go to Cal. Yes. So you could have said Aaron Rodgers as well, went to Cal. You could have said Marshawn Lynch also as well, went to Cal.
Careful, I'm running out of players that went to Cal.
Josh, so am I. So I forget the who's their See, look at me not like all right, timeout. We should get a sounder for that. Timeout. I'm calling a lot of timeouts this year. I'm the Matt Rule of radio. A lot of timeouts being used this season. All right, we need like a whistle sounder. Timeout.
Call yourself the Matt Rule of radio.
Yeah, but that means I get to stay here for a very long time, whether or not you like me or not.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anyone likes you.
Timeout. Timeout called. I don't care about the ACC. Okay, can we just get that out there? I don't give a rat's ass about them. I don't. I think Miami is phenomenal, spectacular. I'm really excited to see what happens with SMU and Kevin Jennings. I think that SMU team last season very easily could have been in the college football playoff last year. I think Jennings is being slept on. When we get to Matt McFutures, I'm probably going to sprinkle a little something for him to win the Heisman. It might be a donation, but I think the value is there. We've talked about it with Brett Ciancia before. Outside of those two teams, I couldn't care less. I'm kind of done with the Dabo thing. It's very clear to me, very obvious to me that this era of college football is not his era. And I'm not really betting nor interested to see if he ends up figuring it out. I think Louisville is very interesting to your point, Jeff Brom. Like, they've done a great job over there, but it's like, once again, this is me being like surface level, like, college, athletics brain, but it's just like, I'm not really going to give a damn about Louisville, the basketball school, and what, how they're going to be like 16th to 25 ranked in NCAA football, right? Maybe I'll read their preview and then I'll tell you that actually they're going to have a great year this year. I haven't gotten that far, but just in general, I don't care about the ACC. I don't. I wish it was different. And you know what? Maybe Miami winning a national championship will feel that way, but I don't think anything is. I feel like a lot of people feel the way that I feel, which is very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate that we feel that way about that conference, because one's proud, one's very proud, one's very important. And by the way, we got a news coming out of the ACC today about North Carolina and their general manager, Mike Lombardi, being put on administrative leave.
What's going on with that?
Hip hip hooray. Terrible. I mean, I say hip hip hooray, by the way, in a very sarcastic, like, that's what the ACC needs. They need one of their prominent, stories with Bill Belichick and North Carolina once again being shrouded in controversy. That's exactly what that conference
That guy might suck.
Dude, he sucked. Like talking about a dude who's just failed upwards. Like, I mean, it's like you can't point to, like, Mike Lombardi's greatest accomplishment at this point is being great friends with Bill Belichick and being able to be on the Pat McAfee show. Like, it's I don't know, man. I think that North Carolina is proving that gimmicks don't win you college football games. Good coaching wins you college football games, right? There have been some gimmicky things that have happened in college football over the last couple of years with coaches and hirings and, NIL budgets and all that type of stuff. And what have we learned? Best coaches are going to win football games. That's what Kurt Cignetti has proven. That's what Kirby Smart's proven, winning 2 SEC championships, in a row. It's one of those things. Like, it is what it is. But I just took a time out there to say, I couldn't care less about the ACC. I do care, though, about JKS, who's the California quarterback this year, who a lot of people are incredibly high on, which, once again, funneling back to me not caring about the ACC, like, I think of JKS and, like, what he can do as a quarterback at Cal. My immediate thought is, I wonder what Big Ten team he's going to transfer to next year. Like, I wonder what SEC team is going to pay him gobsmacks of money, in order to play his junior season there at wherever it might be. So anyway, very interesting though. Big 3 players on the Big Ten list for Nebraska: Justin Evans, Ja'Cory Barney, and Kyle Kinnanen, 2 of them being special teams picks. And Nebraska special teams coordinator, now coaches at USC. So I've talked about this with you and Ohio State, how everybody is like very out, or it seems like the people we talk to here on the station are very much more out on Indiana than they are in Ohio State. And I have been banging the Indiana drum in terms of just how good I think they're going to be again this year. And if you're talking about transitions in terms of like offenses, right? I think what TCU does, with Josh Hoover, it's going to be very similar to what Indiana is going to do with him. It's just they got to limit those turnovers. And what Indiana is doing this year is no different than what they've done in years past, which is they're going to build it through the offensive line. They're going to try and improve their quarterback, who was good but not great coming out of the portal. They have weapons once again. Last year, Omar Cooper Jr. got drafted in the first round. Elijah Surratt went in day 2. Like they've kind of reloaded on weapons. The defense, has a very, very strong interior with Tyree Tucker. Along with you got I'm forgetting his name. I think it's Elijah Jones, who returns to them at the linebacker spot. Like you got a lot of Elijah Hardy. My apologies. Who returns to the linebacker spot. Like they're doing a lot of the same things they did last year that won them a national championship that they're going to do this year. Outside of they're going to be very young at the tight end position. But I think people are kind of like they're taking a step back a little bit with Indiana. Just like we took a step back with Indiana after they went, 11-1 and made the college football playoff. We're kind of doing the same thing with them this year, with not being as bullish on them. And we'll see. I mean, there's some valid arguments that are made. Hey, Josh Hoover turns over the ball a lot. They don't have the JMU guys. That is what it is. But I always point to Ohio State and I say, well, if you're going to question Indiana and them losing draft picks and then losing JMU guys, well, you got to do that with OSU, right? Because they've lost 8 guys on their defense from last season. And then additionally, they've lost just not 8 guys on defense. Arvell Reese, first-round pick. Sonny Styles, first-round pick. Caleb Downs, first-round pick. They lose Caden McDonald. Like, they didn't just lose, starters. They lost dudes. They lost guys who are going to be playing on Sundays for a very, very long time and make a ton of money in the league. But it's funny just how good Ohio State's defense was last year, and how good they are recruiting and reloading. Ohio State has 5 players on all defense teams, according to Scott Docterman. Jermaine Matthews Jr., and Jalen McClain. They're all on these preseason All Big Ten teams, according to Doc. And then on top of that, they have 2 players in John Walker and Christian Allegro, who are on these All Big Ten teams. Okay, they are on these Peyton Pierce Jr., and John Walker, who are on these All Big Ten teams, who were backups last year for Ohio State. So it's not just like, hey, you're a returner and you go ahead and you're on an All Big Ten team. But if you're Christian Allegro and you're Peyton Pierce Jr., you were backups at the linebacker position last season. You didn't even start last season. And you're on the All Big Ten team because of the impacts you made coming off the bench for Ohio State last year in that defense. Peyton Pierce Jr. is first team All Big Ten this season, according to Scott Docterman in The Athletic. First team All Big Ten preseason ranking. And he was a backup last season with 43 tackles. That's how Ohio State reloads. That's how they recruit. That's how they keep talent flowing. They keep staying at the top, which is, this is just one of the things. Archer goes transfer portal guys for Buckeyes. Only, they have, so Pierce and Allegro are on these teams, and they're on the All Big Ten teams, and they were on the Buckeyes last season. They do have a very interesting addition in John Walker, not the man who writes for the Omaha World Herald, but actually the 303-pound nose tackle who was UCF's top run stopper.
Omaha's
last
John
season.
Walker, not 303.
They actually don't have a ton of transfers on this Ohio State defense. They also have Earl Little Jr., who was a Florida State transfer, along with Walker. But a lot of these guys are going to be on Ohio State's defense. They were backups last season for Ohio State. So one of those things where it's just these are how these teams reload. Okay, let's go ahead. We'll hit a break here. Let's make some predictions, eh?
Oh,
what do you think? What do you think Matt Rule's going to say at Big Ten Media Days? What do you think he's going to say?
Why are we whispering?
I don't know. I was just kind of changing the tone of my voice. Could you not like that? That was kind of a radio play there. You don't want to scrap that from the playbook?
Well, I just wanted to know why.
Okay. Illinois was in cover 3, and we had to eliminate half of the things that we were going to do on the show.
Had to throw out half the playbook.
We had to throw out half the playbook.
That's a thing a coach said to us once.
Seriously. By the way, this Big Ten, I appreciate Archer correcting me. This Big Ten Lindy's thing lied to me. They said Allegro was a returner for Ohio State. I guess he transferred from Wisconsin. So good on you, Archer. Thanks for keeping me honest. But anyway, Ohio State's going to be very good on defense next season. I know that, and we can't wear hoodies in the pregame.
That's another thing a coach said.
And his offensive linemen are throwing up 10 to 15 times a practice.
That's good, though. That's good for the body.
Great for the body.
Get the toxins
I mean, they're
out.
really getting the heart rate going.
Yeah.
And so are we here on Middays with Matt at 1620 Zone Radio Network.
Josh Hodson's boyhood hero was Hank Aaron. Matt McMasters was the guy from the Dos Equis commercial. Now it's starting to all make sense. Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Man, I love it. The YouTube chat is on fire right now. People just arguing about the ACC and the Big Ten. We got our Ohio State fan, too, Archer's in here. He's laying down the facts right now. I'll tell you right now, Ohio State, really good mix of transfers and returners from the backup position. Going to help their defense. By the way, didn't really have to mention the offense for Ohio State. Loaded. Julian saying he was the number one quarterback according to Scott Docterman. And then obviously Jeremiah Smith. We'll see if Brandon Innes can break out this season for Ohio State. And then obviously you bring back 4 of their 5 offensive linemen from last season. Don't forget about Chris Henry Jr., by the way. If you were wondering if Ohio State, who's going to be the guy who follows the guy who followed the guy who followed the guy, Chris Henry Jr. going to be it for the Ohio State Buckeyes. All right, so we have talked a little bit about the Big Ten today, preseason, all-team rankings. What?
You said Chris Henry Jr., and I'm like, no, it can't. It is. It's Chris Henry's kid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what happened. He's, by the way, 6'5".
Yeah, this is a tall drink of water.
You know the
you guys know about this Chris Henry Jr. fella?
Be ready, brother. Be ready, man. Like the Ohio State wide receiver list just keeps getting more and more ridiculous as the years go on, and I'm all here for it. I am all here for the Ohio State Buckeye wide receiver job being like the Golden State Warriors assistant coaching, where it's just like, remember, like you were, if you were the head assistant behind Steve Kerr, get ready, brother.
Football fans may know it as the Alabama rehabilitation program, where if you just are on Nick Saban's coaching staff, just do your time there for a year or two, you'll get a high profile job afterwards.
The Archers is going off in the chat right now. True Ohio State fan. He goes, best freshman wide receiver in Ohio State is a 3-star wide receiver named Brock Boyd. You'll see.
Strong name.
Great name. Brock Boyd. BB. Let's see. Do I have a analysis here on Brock Boyd real quick? Chris Henry Jr.'s down there.
6'1".
He's only 6'1".
Yeah.
Here it is.
He'll make a great
Are you ready? All
someday.
right. Brock Boyd, 6'1", 184 pounds, South Lake, Texas, played at South Lake Carroll. You ready for this? Brock Boyd had 3,353 receiving yards in his final 2 seasons at South Lake Carroll High School in Texas. For all you math wizards out there, that's over 1,600 yards per season in Texas high school football. Oof. Kenneth goes, all righty. He's like, I'm done. All Notre Dame fan Kenneth is done with this Ohio State conversation. Still picking up the pieces from that national championship game, are you, Kenneth?
He looks like Matt Rife.
Who, Brock Boyd?
Yeah.
So he's a pretty good looking guy.
Well, that's not what I said.
Okay.
He's got those cheekbones and those lips.
Those cheekbones, man. Cheekbones piss me off. That and the mustache. I grow great mustache. There are guys who grow way worse mustaches than me, and somehow that's cuter.
I don't think Brock Boyd can grow facial hair.
Yeah, I don't. Brock Boyd definitely comes off as a babyface assassin, in my opinion. Chris Henry Jr. is just a beast, by the way. Just an absolute stud. Real quick.
Right.
6'5", 195 pounds for Chris Henry Jr. Santa Ana, California. He played at Mater Dei, which powerhouse, Mater Dei High School. The school of Amon-Ra St. Brown, if you don't forget there. And the school of Bryce Young, Mater Dei High School. Also, Matt Leinart, too. Went to, everyone forgets about Matt Leinart. A lot of players, by the way, went to Mater Dei. I had a great friend of mine who went there. 24/7 Sports rated Henry as the number 2 wide receiver nationally as a senior. He had 28 receptions for 607 yards and 6 touchdowns. He had 1,127 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 71 receptions as a sophomore. So that's going to be a guy to look out for. All right, let's talk about Matt Rule. Big Ten Media Days coming up on Thursday. What is he going to say? We have not talked, and this has become a very interesting stat here. That Husker Online has done a very good job at keeping a track of. Matt Rule has not talked to the media since late March.
Whoa.
Yeah, late March as was the last time that he talked to the media. I want to get the exact date here. It was in the article. I believe it was March 28th was the last time that he had talked to the media. So it's going to be the first time in quite a while, at least from Matt Rule standards. Like, there was a moment in time that Matt Rule was talking a lot and a ton and doing some like extra media availability that we were like, oh, you like, I didn't know he needed to do that. And I think that was in part because like the contrast of how Rule talks now and Rule talks back then was Matt Rule was still definitely trying to get everybody to know who he was, right? To know his standards, to know, just who he was as a person, and what he gets done. And now it's kind of turned into, he's been here for almost 4 years now, like it's we're heading into season 4. You know what you know about Matt Rule at this point and how he operates. And I think that's part of the reason why you've had this quieter offseason, right? Because it's like, what do you have to be loud about? Like, what do you have to really put out there? Right. It's one of those things, the situation of the team, the pieces that they acquired, the pieces they lost, what they're facing ahead of them in this tough schedule, what they have to accomplish. They're going to have to do some things this season to have a quote unquote successful year that they haven't really done consistently at his time at Nebraska. And so, we have a lot of these discussions about, quiet offseason. It's like, I've always just thought like, what peg is there to stand on for it to be the loudest booming, hey, we're going to go out and conquer the entire world type offseason, right? At end of the year 7-6 for the second season in a row. You lost your last 3 games of the season, all of them by fairly embarrassing fashion, right? You just got to put your nose down. You got to go to work. And, he hasn't talked in a while. And it'll be interesting to what he'll say at Big Ten Media Days. I have one thing I'm positive he's going to say. And then I have a funny feeling that he's going to say something else. Number one is he's already said it on a local media standpoint, but I think once again, he is going to reiterate, because he believes this, that this is the best team that he's had. And I think he's going to say that on the podium. And I think it's going to be something that we're probably going to dive more into after he says it. And I think it's going to be something that I don't think it will be aggregated to the point where it's everywhere on Twitter, but there'll definitely be some national people who will be like, all right, Matt Rule says that this is his best team that he's had. Here is your quick little Nebraska update, because national writers know when you make a Nebraska update or a Nebraska prediction, or you put the Huskers, in your social media feed, that's going to get some clicks. And so I would not be shocked if he states that sentiment once again. We've already done this topic on the show. You go through position group by position group. I think he's right. If I'm being real with you, though, Josh, I thought he would be right by a bigger margin. Like I thought going into my practice of writing down all the groups and the talent they have and the returners they have, I thought it would be more clear that this is the best group he's had. I think it still is, but there definitely is a massive gap between what that 2024 defensive line was and what this D line is going to be, which is, all this sheer Whittington talk, the transfer from Pitt, quick, twitchy. He's got to be. He's only 6'1" playing on the D line, but it very much interests me in terms of how is he going to impact that D line? Cam Lenhart, Cade Petchak, Riley Van Poppel, all names that all names that we've seen flashes of throughout the last couple of years here at the program. What step do they take? With Corey Brown, the defensive lines coach, like what does that look like? Anthony Jones, the mercenary, who's played on a couple different teams now the last couple of years. He fits in at that DN position. Like, what's that going to look like? I think the gap right now, currently, between what you think the D line is going to be and what the D line was in 24 is pretty big. Other than that, though, like wide receiver room, probably the best, most talented that they have. Offensive line room, probably the best, most talented that they have. I think Calandria fits better than the quarterbacks that they've had last couple of seasons. That secondary room still very strong. Linebacker room, I think, undoubtedly the best that they've had under Matt Rule. So, I think that will be best team that he's had, and I think that will garner some attention. I think he's going to quote a book I think he's going. It's been a while since we've done this, but I think he's going to lay it down. He's like, you know what? I was reading this book in the offseason, and John Wooden said that you shouldn't be going to bed thinking about your opponents at night. Your opponent should go to bed thinking about you at night, and that's what I want Nebraska to be. When I first got here a couple of years ago, I said that I want Nebraska to be feared, right? I want more teams to go to bed thinking about us. And we haven't done that yet here under my time at Nebraska. But I think with these guys, with these teams, and more importantly, this coaching staff, we're going to establish that this season.
That's you going on a limb.
Hey, can you tell I've been to a couple press conferences? Can you tell that I've sat in on a couple of those things?
Sure.
I think he's going to quote a book. By the way, I'll go plus 350. He brings up either Hassan Reddick or Deion Dawkins. We might be past the time bringing up former Temple players that were successful under him. We might be past that point where that sticks. I remember walking. I was on the campus of Nebraska when he was doing his introductory press conference. I was going to class. Okay. And so I was going to class, and then I was going to go to class, and then after I was going to go back to KLIN, and I was going to cut up his opening press conference. And I was going to use that for the practice reports that I made. The practice reports that went on this very station. And I'm walking back, and it was very neat. They had the Matt Rule press conference on the Memorial Stadium Jumbotron when it was going on live. And so you could walk by, and you could just stand right outside the College of Business, the Cobb, as they call it. And you could there was a little window that you could see between the seats of the stadium. You look at the Jumbotron, you could watch the press conference from that little, crack and see it. And so I actually just stood right there and I watched some of the press conference coming off of the Memorial Stadium Jumbotron. He was talking and he mentioned Hassan Reddick right away. And I was like, fire me up, dude. Reddick I think Reddick was on the Eagles at the time, just killing it when he was bringing that up. I think that was right after he got traded, something like that. And then that became a pretty consistent theme of him bringing up old players that were awesome under him that not a lot of people, recognize very highly. And that was part of the secret sauce. I mean, he talked about it with in that YouTube interview he did. Adam Brenneman, I believe, was his name, the YouTuber and social media guy that they did, where talked about they would just grab athletes and make them football players, at Baylor. And that's how they return these low star prospects into high ranking guys. It'll be interesting though. Now we're in year 4, it'd be nice if we start mentioning more of Nebraska player development projects, the Nebraska guys that were able to get better under your tutelage. One of them might be Jeremiah Charles this year. We'll see if he ends up winning the cornerback 2 job.
EJ.
Oh, yes. We're going to do that on Thursday. On Thursday, we're not going to make a bingo card. We're going to make a book. We're going to make a book of all of the things and people that Matt Rule might bring up during his press conference. And we'll put odds to it. We're not taking bets on him, though. But we'll make the book. We'll see. EJ's got to be what? Minus 400. Yeah. He brings up EJ easily. -4, -500. Does he bring up Dylan? Does he mention Dylan by name? He might mention Dylan.
No, not by name.
By position or our quarterback last year or something but does he bring up Dylan by name?
Everybody's on the same page this year. A lot of people on the same health plan.
How about this one? Around where you're talking about. We're getting our bodies right this year.
Yeah.
We're really getting our bodies
100%.
Right. We've really invested in nutrition, and not just investing in nutrition, making sure everybody follows.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's holding everybody accountable.
He's just a football guy, Anthony. He's just a football guy. He's just a guy who loves to play football. He's not worried about anything else. He's not worried about the brands, not worried about the fashion, not worried about how he looks. He's just worried about football. Does that count as bringing up?
We got a bunch of just football guys in this locker room.
Why does it turn into walking?
I don't know.
Football guys. Yeah, football guys.
The watch.
We'll take a break here on Middays with Matt on the 1620 Zone Radio Network.
news, odd sum. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
Josh?
Matt?
Wasn't a long weekend, but it was a weekend. I imagine that we have a lot of material to potentially get to.
Oh, yeah, sure. A lot of
great
to sift
candidates.
Through. Maybe some we'll get to tomorrow.
I would love to go into the offices of Josh Oddson to see how he decides what is worthy and not worthy of an odd news story.
I texted myself this story over the weekend.
You what? You have to text yourself?
Yeah, or I won't remember. If I see something weird while I'm scrolling over the weekend, I'll go, oh, that would be good. I'll just like email it to myself.
My Twitter bookmarks have now turned into a calamity because there are just way too many things bookmarked that I have never read or don't like. I used to think, oh, I'll just clear it. It'll be fine. It'll be neat. Nope, never happening. All right, what's this one?
The Minnesota Twins have a problem.
They've had many problems over the last couple of years. Which one is this one in particular?
This is an off-the-field problem. 4 Minnesota players, yes, 4, all have weddings on the same Saturday in November, the 14th to be exact. Ryan Creedler. I'm sorry, I'm not a Twins guy.
Go ahead. No, I would love for you to take a crack at this.
Brooks Lee.
Yeah.
Luke Keeshall and Cole Sands. I'm sorry.
These are all like middle reliever baseball names.
They all did the planning independent of one another and learned that they have a shared wedding date.
My God.
In spring training. Boy, this is going to get awkward in that clubhouse, isn't it?
I think you just have to kind of spin a wheel and be like, who's going to be where? That sucks. That's terrible.
Now, they express some of the concerns that goes into a baseball player planning a wedding day. You don't want to be too close to the end of October.
Yes.
You don't want to be too far into November because then you're butting into like Thanksgiving and the holidays.
It makes a lot of sense.
That
checks out.
Manager Derek Shelton doesn't have a choice to make. He has prior plans on that day.
Nice. He's got another wedding. He's going to his own other baseball wedding. Here's another thing too. Like, baseball players like to invite other baseball players not on their team to the weddings. I'm concerned about the other baseball players that aren't Twins who have to then decide if they have similar friends between these 4 whose wedding they're going to. I will tell you that I have had another wedding booked this week for 2027. I will now be going to weddings on July 31st, August 7th, and August 13th of 2027.
Hello.
I will be going to weddings on back-to-back weekends. I am now to the point where the next person who gets engaged, is it rude of me to mention to them, hey, I have these, like, they don't care about me enough for me to put that out there?
They do not, unless you're in the wedding.
I got one that I might be in that might get engaged soon. To which, sorry, brother.
You better just bring that up casually. Like,
be like, hey, I got 3 weekends on these dates, just letting you know.
I'm getting booked up.
That and October weddings, because of Big Red overreaction, don't really work well for me. All right, what's our next odd news story?
Well, Spider-Man comes out in the theaters this coming weekend.
Yes, it does.
An Arkansas traffic camera recorded a real-life Spider-Man on the roads. A footage shared to social media by the Jonesboro Police Department shows a man in a wheelchair struggling to cross a busy intersection when a man in a Spider-Man costume comes up behind the man in the wheelchair and pushes him across the intersection.
Was it Tom?
No, this person appeared to be, what's the word I want to use? Heavier.
Oh, okay. You can say that. He's got a little pounds in him. He's like the Peter Parker and Into the Spider-Verse.
What if Peter's friend in the movies with the
Ned?
Yeah. What if Ned was Spider-Man?
That guy, talk about losing hair. Good goodness.
That
guy's lost a lot of hair.
Careful.
What? I'm just saying.
There might be something going on there.
Oh, is there?
I don't know.
Okay.
I
apologize.
That'd be my guess.
My bad. Third and final odd news story.
The Space Needle. We go to the Space Needle. 2 men climbed over the glass wall of the city's iconic Space Needle on Friday, flipped over the edge, and parachuted down from the 605-foot structure. The jumpers faced trespassing charges, because, of course, they do. The base jumpers purchased tickets and entered the Space Needle at about 8:50 p.m., according to the Seattle PD. The popular attraction has a round observation deck surrounded by high glass windows that are open to the sky above. They were seen on camera at the top level of the Space Needle, then went into a restroom, coming out with helmets on. They ran to the glass window, climbed to the other side, and jumped off. Security at the Space Needle were unsure where the men landed and could not locate the individuals. They have not been identified by authorities. What were described as white men in their late 20s.
Yeah, what a surprise. What a shocker.
Of course they were.
What a shocker.
Mhm.
Some of these people, thrill seekers,
Mhm.
you know, I don't get them. I don't relate. I feel like I can relate to plenty of people, not everybody, but I can relate to plenty of people. The people who just like, yeah, I just want to jump off. I just want to risk life, you know? Are you laughing at Adam Schefter?
He is actively in a golf cart.
Yeah, and it's bouncing around. He's got his Michigan polo on right now, by the way. I mean,
sorry.
Look, what is he talking about? He's definitely talking about Aaron Donald.
Yeah, is that guy coming
At this
back?
time,
That guy's
according to my
coming back.
sources, by the way, so I listened to one episode of the Adam Schefter podcast, and he had Ty Schmidt on, who was on the Pat McAfee show. And it was titled, Adam Schefter with Ty Schmidt. Okay. And I thought it was going to be like a collaborative pod, right? Or like Schefter interviewing Ty. It was Ty Schmidt, Adam Schefter's guest on the show, feeding Schefter questions about teams. I had never seen, he brought on somebody who's not regularly on his show to feed him. It was the most Hulk Hogan podcast I have ever seen in my entire life. He brought on a jobber to just feed him news lines so Schefter can get over.
These are the things I want to talk about. I'll make up some questions.
Why do you need a new guest to do that on a different show?
People see the name and they go, ooh, okay.
Ooh, Ty, that's what I thought.
I'm not a fan of Adam Schefter. I'm a fan of Ty. I'm a Ty guy, you could say.
I got.
And click.
Let's hit a break. We'll talk about the NFL coming up next year on Middays with Matt.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Go to the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. Nebraska men's basketball tweeted out 2 hours ago, exactly on the dot. Going to have a grand old time. Kansas State exhibition match, or exhibition game rather, between them and Nebraska basketball will take place at Grand Island. So shout out GI. Shout out to GI at the Ihusen Arena at Big Old Round Event Center. I apologize so greatly to our friends at 97.7 The Zone for probably butchering that name.
Could have just not said it.
I know. But I want the people to know where they might be. People will now know where they're going to be in their exhibition match between.
Yeah, I guess I like
October
that
26th.
you tried. Yeah.
We're always about trying here on Middays with Matt. We're always willing to try new things. You cannot say, you can say whatever you want about Matt McMaster. You can say, you know what? He tried. He gave it a shot. Gave it his best shot.
That's something.
Thanks, Josh. Let's go ahead. We saw one of the funnier interviews in quite some time with Adam Schefter everyone's got a golf outing this week, it feels like. Schaefer's got one going on. Pretty sure the Tiburon member guest thing took place last weekend, if I'm not mistaken. I have a scramble that I'm going to be in on Wednesday. Adam Schefter was in a golf cart in his Michigan Man Polo, just going on, doing an interview about God knows what on the Pat McAfee show. Which, by the way, can Schefter just not tell Pat, hey, man, can't do it today. Going to be out on the course.
No, because remember, they had the beef of, I don't remember what they were fighting over.
McAfee and Schefter were fighting?
Yeah.
I did not know this.
I'm gonna look at the details real quick.
They have had a conflict of interest when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, though. Remember that? Where Rodgers texted Schefter, lose my number, and then Schefter was a regular guest on McAfee, and then Rodgers was regularly going on McAfee at the time.
McAfee reportedly iced out Schefter after the NFL Insider declined an impromptu appearance on the Pat McAfee show in March of 25. So Adam probably feels, okay, I can't tell this guy no if he asks.
That's weak.
Or he'll freeze me out.
He's
the most powerful man there.
But icing somebody out because impromptu, they couldn't move their schedule to adhere to what you wanted is weak. The world does not revolve around this guy. But maybe it does. I don't know. It gets paid a lot.
Following the incident, Schefter did not appear on McAfee's program for 3 months. While rival insider Ian Rappaport and Peter Schrager made guest appearances.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, I did not know that. When the McAfee documentary comes out, which will follow his album that he's releasing in August.
That's not a joke. He will be releasing a music album
about his life.
Yes.
Interesting choice. When the McAfee documentary comes out, there definitely will be I don't want to call it like dark side of the ring, but there will be like hey, this guy, wasn't messing around in some instances, like he laid down the law with some people and really stood up for his guys and his show.
There will be a man in a spot shadow so you can't see his face, and he'll just say, "You always had one shot with Pat, and if you blew it, you never got another one."
That'll be what the documentary trailer is. The first 35 seconds will be happy-go-lucky, Pat McAfee, program for the brand. There'll probably be like him doing stand-up comedy. And then the last 25 seconds will be like, ba-bum, like, oh my God, what the things that he had to do to get out of his, get out of bar school. Oh, Dave Portnoy would be in that documentary.
What if I told you
yes,
the journey was the destination?
What if I told you he wasn't for the brand? He was for the people.
What if I told you the brand was himself?
Oh. What if I told you that a punter became the most influential person in sports media?
That's the one. Go with that one.
Yeah. We could definitely, dude. We need to make 30 for 30s great again.
Oh, please.
God.
Extend the olive branch to Bill.
There was
like, Bill, make these good again.
Without a doubt. He was on the Mina Kimes podcast today.
See, we're mending fences.
Do you think that Bill will have a Bulls take on Mina's pod today?
So I gotta pull it. Somebody has screenshotted that quote in a very interesting place.
Okay.
Let me see. I screenshot. No swimmers. I'll just say that left. I don't know when I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that.
I'm going to tell you that I have not followed Bill Simmons' advice as an existing Bulls fan.
Oh, okay. Well, he said, for the uninformed catch.
Yeah. Can you inform, please, what Bill Simmons said to Bulls fans?
He said, if I was a Bulls fan, I would have no. It's a medical term. I can say it. Sperm left.
Just be everywhere.
Yeah.
He would just be empty and everywhere.
And you're saying that you have not followed Bill's medical advice.
I have not fallen into this trap. Okay.
Trap?
I don't know, man.
Sounds like a damn good time.
How many times the Bulls have had plenty of number 4, number 6, number 7 overall draft picks over the last decade.
Yeah, but this one they got right.
Kobe, how do you know? You don't know that. You do not know that. You don't know that. I'm the only one that knows that. They called me a madman, is what Bill Simmons might tell people. Can you blame? First off, everyone always says that I am the overzealous Chicago sport fan that is going to go above and beyond every single time and going to make crazy takes about how I think my team is going to perform. I'm getting dragged through the mud right now because of my Chicago Bears expectations this season. Okay. I am. This is happening. And now for once, I'm actually pumping the brakes for a second and being like, hey guys, Summer League isn't exactly like a 1-to-1 to what the National Basketball Association actually provides in competition. Let's be calm for a second when it comes to this guy, who, by the way, his only season in North Carolina got hurt. I have a right to just be cautiously optimistic. That's what I'm going to be.
It does not sound like a recipe to lose all your swimmers.
No, I've never cautiously optimistically done that.
Okay.
Before. Real quick though, NFL training camp going to start up tomorrow. So let me reiterate that. Everybody will be in training camp tomorrow.
Yeah.
Everybody will be there. All right. The party is going to rock. Okay. This time tomorrow, we might be on a different channel and they are live. And I'm live at Carolina. Jeff Darlington here. I'm live at New England Patriots training camp. I'm live at, the Philadelphia Eagles training camp, new offensive coordinator, all that type of stuff. Right, that'll be tomorrow. So here are...
I've seen Patty favoring that knee all weekend long.
Matt McMaster's top 3 training camp stories that I'm keeping an eye out for because they have the likelihood to impact the NFL season more than what people actually give them credit for.
That is a catchy title.
Catchy title.
You got upper management written all over you, kid.
Do you think, can you make a graphic with that? Matt McMaster's top 3 NFL storylines that he's keeping an eye on because he thinks that they're going to impact the season more than people give them credit for.
I can do this, but you do need to type that out and send it to me.
I will. And I'm probably going to forget about it by the time we get there, but that's not the point. Number one, NFL training camp storyline Matt McMaster is keeping an eye out for that people, I see now I forgot it. It already happened. QB, quote unquote, battle in Minnesota. I think that the Minnesota Vikings have an opportunity to be way better than people give them credit for. I think that last year now granted, they don't have Jonathan Grenard or Harrison Smith, and those are 2 important pieces that they've lost. But I do want to add, I love their pick in Caleb Downs, who defensive lineman out of Florida, D tackle. What was he, like 6'6", 350 pounds? Like, if he can stay healthy, I think he's going to be one of the best picks in that NFL draft. If he can stay healthy, he already has some foot issues. They were number 4 in EPA per play last year on defense. They still got Brian Flores, who we talk about coordinators who should be coaches or who are at a head coaching level, right? That impact the game greatly for their teams, right? Steve Spagnuolo is like top of that list in terms of, hey, you have that guy, good for you. Like on top of it. Here's another guy. Oh God, what was Vic Fangio?
Fangs.
He was incredible. He's been incredible, right? For the Philadelphia Eagles. Like that was a guy who, head coaching level, like making that impact. Brian Flores is that type of guy for Minnesota. And so while they've lost some of those pieces, I think that they are in a very good position, right, to still have a very impactful defense. Now, with the quarterback situation. They still have all the pieces to have a very good offense. Like, they have Justin Jefferson. They have good tight end play, right? They're going to figure out the running back position. Like, they've invested on the offense. Like, they have all the pieces that you need. And on top of that, they have an incredible offensive coordinator / head coach in Mr. Kevin O'Connell, that from a play calling perspective, and just from a quarterback elevation perspective, is perfect in his role. And so, to me, I think that the Vikings have a chance with the pieces that they have on defense and the offensive pieces that they have, across the board. They have the pieces to be incredibly effective when they have an effective quarterback. And they did not last year. And look, I didn't necessarily hate the JJ McCarthy pick. Okay. I thought, look, at the time, you didn't know Darnold was going to be Darnold, right? I think I could make the argument hey, just take a shot on that, man, right? You sign the guy, just let him go out and do it. But I understand, all right, hey, you like JJ McCarthy. I mean, they really like Drake May. They wanted Drake May. They were offering the house, the farm, everything for Drake May to get up to number 3. And New England, by the way, very impressively, said, nope, we're good. We are A-okay when it comes to, we're going to take this guy, Drake May, number 3 overall. And so they settled for JJ McCarthy. And even though I didn't hate the pick, I certainly didn't love the pick. I thought, though, the guy's got Kevin O'Connell, the guy's got Justin Jefferson, he's got TJ Hawkinson. They've got the pieces there where it's going to be really hard for this guy to fail unless he's just really, really bad. And last year, that's what he was. He was really bad. He 1,632 yards, 11 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, a 57.6% completion percentage. On top of that, he missed multiple games last season, just like the year before. He had missed an entire season because he, tore his knee up in a preseason game. You have to question now 2 seasons, right? In theory, he's had 34 opportunities to be the starting quarterback in the regular season for the Minnesota Vikings, and yet he's failed. He failed to stay healthy then, and then he was not healthy throughout the entirety of the year. So they bring in Kyler Murray, which, JJ can be upset about it, and JJ's camp can be upset about it, but the Minnesota Vikings, rightfully so, believe that they have an opportunity to be good next season if they end up having stellar quarterback play. And Kyler Murray, despite the fact the last couple of seasons has not been good in the slightest, and at times, I think last year at Arizona, Jacoby Brissett looked more impressive and fit the offense better than Kyler Murray did, which is something that you don't want to say about your number 1 overall / franchise quarterback. Look at his 2 seasons under Cliff Kingsbury. Look at his 2 seasons where he was under an offensive coordinator style head coach. He made 2 Pro Bowls. He had a combined 7,758 passing yards. He had 50 touchdowns. His completion percentage was 68%, right? When Kyler Murray has had an offensive mind as his head coach, he's flourished. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to say that if he gets that again, along with some of these offensive weapons that he's got, that, he could do something fairly impressive in Minnesota. And you can say, oh, I'm team JJ or I'm team Kyler Murray or whatever it might be. I just want Justin Jefferson to be great again, because it just seemed like he suffered so terribly by just awful quarterback play. And I remember watching a couple Vikings games, and JJ was always JJ McCarthy was always dapping up Justin Jefferson. I was like, stop dapping the guy up and asking, saying you're sorry, and go ahead and throw him the ball, and actually put it on his numbers, actually giving him opportunity to make plays in space. And so it's just one of those things where I think Minnesota has a lot of interesting pieces, across the board. It's just, if your quarterback plays terrible, nothing can help you. And so, I just think that if JJ can make a step, or if Kyler Murray can reinvigorate his career, it's very interesting to me, because I think the pieces are there for the Vikings to be really good. And it's a division where it's funny. You ask any NFC North fan, hey, who do you think is going to win the division? Or how do you think your team is going to do? It's the same answer over and over again, which is, oh, I think we're going to make the wild card, because that's how competitive that division will be this year. All right, number 2. Josh, you already brought it up. Pat Mahomes' injury recovery. So I mentioned kind of made fun of the Schefter pod, in terms of, hey, brought a guy on, he was going to interview him, and he just asked him a bunch of questions. But there was an interesting tidbit that came out of that Schefter podcast where he said that he is incredibly confident that Patrick Mahomes is going to be on the field for the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 1 next season. Now, I think the question will be, how good will Patrick Mahomes be, right? Will he be 70% of who he was, 80% of who he was? Will he be 90%? Will he be fully recovered? We don't know. This Kansas City Chiefs team, like, I don't think they have a better team than Buffalo. I don't think they have a better team than Denver. I think that, overall they got a better team in Baltimore. Like, I think there are a lot of rosters that just have better rosters than they do. But I am incredibly interested to see if that defense, who, they're older and they've been paid a lot of money. And last year they were, 12th in EPA, which is still pretty good. But they get rid of Trent McDuffie. They bring in Mansour Delane. I think he fits perfectly for that defense and what they're trying to do. And I think this offense, objectively, it makes a lot more sense. They're solid on the offensive line. They're not perfect, by any stretch of the imagination. But they were 9th last year in PFF and pass block, and they were 17th last year in run block. But that run game, especially last year, I mean, they had to make Patrick Mahomes a big part of it just for it to be effective. And at one point, for a good part of the season, he was their leading rusher, which is, you don't want that to be the case, especially for a guy who's as important as Mahomes is, because, you put him at injury risk. But Kenneth Walker, along with Emmett Johnson, not only did they just sign Kenneth, but then bring in Emmett, who also has that incredible versatility, as everybody knows, as a runner and a pass catcher, immediately makes their offense better. Look, they don't have that number one, that true, hey, alpha number one. They got some interesting pieces. Can Xavier Worthy take that next step? But I think that this team is going to be better. But if Pat isn't Pat, then I don't know how far they can go, right? Because I've mentioned this in the past, the Chiefs' close wins were really because Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid were just great in those situations, and they would be able to put the Chiefs just ahead above everybody else, right? But I think last year, especially with kind of some of the lackluster performances they had, especially at the beginning of the season, on the defensive end, their roster wasn't good enough for them to get that, for that Pat Mahomes, Andy Reid push to put them over the top. I think this roster, especially with the improvements in the run game, could end up doing that. But once again, if Pat ain't ready to go and Pat ain't Pat, then, the AFC is already super wide open, but that's another question mark that you add to it. My third and final one is kind of interesting. I mean, it's all encompassing. New coaches everywhere, a lot of new coaches and a lot of different storylines that come from these new coaches in different styles, right? You got the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers, who haven't had new coaches in over a decade, right? They have new faces in the building. Mike McCarthy, a very familiar face to people, for NFL fans. Jesse Minter, kind of the opposite, right? He's worked his way up as coordinator in Michigan, coordinator Chargers, then goes ahead, new face in Baltimore. And Jesse Minter did an incredible job being the DC in LA. Then you got some of these young guns, right? With Clint Kubiak and Mike LaFleur taking over the Saints and the Cardinals specifically. Are they the next iterations of great offensive coordinators that go ahead and do a phenomenal job as head coaches, right? We've had a lot of these over the last couple of years. Last year specifically, Liam Cohen and Ben Johnson. But even before that, right, we've seen more and more Shanahans and McVays and O'Connells and McDaniels kind of come out of the woodwork. Is that the new iteration of that, right? You got Saleh and Harbaugh having second chances, right? Saleh gets a second chance in Tennessee. Harbaugh gets another chance after, things just kind of ran its course in Baltimore, going to New York. I think both those teams, I wouldn't be surprised if there are analysts and experts who pick either of them to be surprise teams that maybe you're assuming they're bad, but then, they end up surprising. I'd probably put my money more so on Tennessee than New York, just because I'm a believer in Cam Ward 1,000,000%. And then you got, what's going to happen in Cleveland with that quarterback situation. Todd Monken, he's been waiting a long time to have this type of opportunity. He gets it in Cleveland. What does that look like after they trade Myles Garrett? But they get a pretty good player in Jared Verse. I'm going to be very interested to see what the initial reports are about some of these new head coaches. And are we just going to sell stock even before week 1 begins If we get some, things are going a little bit weird in Tennessee, or things are going a little bit weird in New York, or things are a little bit different in Arizona that maybe people didn't expect. Nathaniel Hackett, by the way, on the Arizona coaching staff, I was asked about his running back room. He said, "Yeah, Jeremiah Love, he's definitely a rookie." That made some Arizona fans a little PO'd. Let's take a break here. We're going to talk about some young guns happening, making some waves across sports, and then Marta Cordero at around 12:30 will join us from the Omaha Storm Chasers to do his bi-weekly interview on Middays with Ben. Having a fun time here on 1620 Zone Radio Network. Don't go anywhere.
I think it's going to stink.
He's from the third largest village in the world, Skokie, Illinois. Middays with Matt on 1620, The Zone.
Let's go to the YouTube chat. Kenneth writes, the only golf outing I care about is the August 21st one at Miracle Hill. Well, that August 21st golf outing at Miracle Hill is brought to you by us, 1620 The Zone Golf Tournament. Don't forget, 1620 The Zone. Sign up, $400 for a foursome. So $100 per each person. You get 18 holes of golf. You get drinks. You get food. You get VIP access to an after party. You're going to get an opportunity under the par threes. If you hit a hole in one, Langfeld overhead doors is going to give you $10,000, my friend. So go ahead, 1620zone.com, August 21st, Miracle Hill, 1620 Zone, the golf tournament, brought to you by Cutwater and T-Box. Should be a great time. We will be out there broadcasting live. The morning show will be out there broadcasting live. We are going to have an incredible, incredible time. Two young men who had an incredible time yesterday in their fields of work were, first, Jackson Koiven. Remember the name. 21-year-old golfer, okay, from Auburn. He won the SEC Individual Championship as a freshman, okay? He won the Fred Haskins Award, Ben Hogan Award, Jack Nicklaus Award, Phil Mickelson Outstanding Freshman Award at his time at Auburn.
I want to change the name of that
Yeah,
one.
probably. Shot a was one of the most impressive performances I saw yesterday in the 3M Open final round. Had the number one golfer in the world, Scotty Scheffler, on his behind, trying to win a PGA tournament. And Koiven went out there yesterday as a young 21-year-old who was born in 2005, by the way. He shot a 66, went 5 under, bogey-less golf yesterday at the 3M Open to go ahead and win the 3M Open PGA Tour Championship tournament. Listen to this. That's his third start, and he's already won more PGA tournament events than Ludwig Oberg. Okay. Third start, already done it. Violent swing, by the way. This guy's back torques like a back I haven't seen before. All right. It just whips. It was crazy. So Jackson Koiven, congratulations. Team clap for Jackson Koiven. Let's give another team clap for Corey Heim. Okay. Corey Heim's a NASCAR driver. You may not know a lot about him. He won the Brickyard 400 yesterday.
The Brickyard.
The crown jewel, one of the 4 crown jewels of NASCAR racing. All right. It's like the major championships for golf. He went ahead. He won that yesterday. It's his second win in 15 races, which is absolutely insane. He won the San Diego road course earlier in this NASCAR
That's different
season.
than the others.
He is the first driver. He's not even a regular driver, by the way, in the NASCAR Cup Series. He does not drive.
He's
every
one of those
single race.
sometime drivers.
He's a part-time driver. He's got a part-time ride.
He doesn't have enough money to be a full-time driver.
Well, I don't know how it works completely as to why he's part-time. He's going to be full-time next year. That was already announced before he won 2 different events. He's the first driver since 1987 to win multiple NASCAR races as a part-time driver. He is a young man, okay? He was born July 5th, 2002. One hell of a name, by the way, or one hell of a year to be born, 2002. Not
Interesting.
bad. 24 years of age, absolutely insane. 2 wins. He's got a great rivalry already with Carson Hocevar. Young man, incredible driver, did a great job yesterday fending off the owner of his team, Denny Hamlin, to go ahead and win the Brickyard 400. By the way, do you know who Corey Heim runs for? Do you know what his team, what team he runs under?
Planters.
Michael Jordan's team, 2311. So Michael Jordan,
this guy,
another win for his NASCAR team.
Killing the
Absolutely insane. So congratulations to those 2 young men who went ahead and had some phenomenal performances. Jackson Koiven could be on a President's Cup, Ryder Cup team, could be a major champion in the future. Shout out to Corey Heim. Could be a very long-time NASCAR champion. Could be a future NASCAR champion. Very impressive stuff from those 2 young athletes yesterday. All right, speaking about athletes, we're going to bring in 2 men who run an incredible operation over at Warner Park. Marty Cordero joins us along with Alex Cedar, who is the the director of marketing promotions. We'll bring them in and talk to them about what's going on at the Storm Chasers game here coming up next on 1620 The Zone.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Middays with Matt here on the 1620 The Zone Radio Network, bringing you up to the top of the hour with our friends, Marty Cordero, president of the Omaha Storm Chasers, and we are joined by a special guest from the Omaha Storm Chasers. It's Mr. Alex Cedar, the director of marketing and creative. Gentlemen, how are you? How are both of you?
I'm ready for a big week at the ballpark. So I'm excited. Alex?
Yeah, we're juiced. I mean, we don't have too many games left, but what we do have left some really exciting stuff.
Marty, how many? 24, right? 24 games remaining?
4 6-gamers.
Okay.
And then the way this team is playing, maybe 3 on the road at the end of the year. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right. So what do we got?
Hot in the altitude over there last week.
They love playing in Salt Lake. Everybody, I mean, that's when Jack Caglione popped off last year when he hit a bunch of homers in Salt Lake, and then Gavin Cross just hit 5 games in a row, 5 consecutive days with a home run. So hopefully that translates when they come back.
All right, what we got going at the ballpark this week? We got it started Tuesday, correct? And then what?
St. Paul's here.
Okay,
first trip in this year against the Twins AAA club. They'll be back again in a month or so. But St. Paul's here. Night game Tuesday, day game Wednesday, and then night games all the way through Sunday. But it's a lot of promotions, and Alex and the creative and marketing team do a lot to support what happens on the promotions. And we always come in here and I talk about what we are doing.
Yes.
I thought it would be kind of cool to talk about maybe how we get to that from a visual perspective and an engagement perspective. So it's going to be a fun week. Harry Potter night with fireworks on Friday, and then Faith and Family night. We have Ben Zobrist doing a pregame a presentation to the crowd, as well as a giveaway, and we'll do an unboxing on that giveaway in just a little bit, and then another community day, La Vista and Ralston community days on Sunday. And then I should not forget, it's our first Kansas City Royals promotional night probably since before COVID. So it's
really
Royals night at the ballpark, featuring Royals legend and Hall of Famer Willie Wilson.
Nice.
And Slugger will be here, and we'll be doing a number of Royals promotion things on Thursday night. So if you've been waiting to come to the ballpark, come out on $3 Thursday. Go grab a ticket right now while some of the $3 tickets are remaining, and then you'll be able to come out and grab a $3 beer and a hot dog, or a $3 Pepsi and a hot dog as well.
That's probably when I should have done my 999 challenges on Thursday.
Probably should do it on a game that's not 2 hours and 7 minutes.
See, like I said, I am not above not making excuses. I will make all the excuses in the world, and that's on the top of the list. Real quick, let me just read this for people. Dude, you got something going every night.
We do.
Tuesday, pitching for the pantry. You bring in 3 cans of non-perishable food items in exchange for 1 Berm ticket. On Wednesday, senior bingo. Join fellow seniors for bingo in the Ballpark Way area and win a great prize. That's presented by Blue Cross and Blue Shield for you guys. Like you said, $3 Thursday, which is also Royals night. And then Friday, you have Harry Potter night. We'll talk to you, Alex, about that in just a second. Saturday, Faith and Family night with special guest Ben Zobrist. And then on Sunday, and you brought it in here, you have Youth Outreach Night, where you're hosting a school supply drive to support local youth. First 500 ticketed fans could donate 3 school supplies will receive a Chasers backpack, and you will donate a backpack for every one given away. Do you mind, Alex? Can you pick up the backpack right down there? Hand it over to me. I'm going to show this here on the Zone TV YouTube page. That's what you can get if you bring in 3 school supplies items on Sunday to Youth Outreach Night, August 2nd. Omaha Storm Chasers taking on the St. Paul Saints. So let's talk about Friday, though. This, by the way, is an awesome backpack. See a lot of kids rocking this during the school year. Alex, you are the director of marketing and creative. We have talked about you without knowing your name on this interview before, because Josh and I are always, number one, impressed with the designs that the Storm Chasers have been able to do, whether it be Star Wars night, whether it be Runs a Night, right? You have the snow cone jerseys. They were already worn this year, if I'm not mistaken. And now you have Harry Potter night. And we have a lot of questions for you, not only about what goes into making these jerseys, but what are the outtakes? What are the ones that you wanted to do that you weren't able to do? But let's first talk about Harry Potter night. This is something you guys have been doing pretty regularly. What is the challenge like for you being like, all right, we have to make a different type of Harry Potter uniform? We've already done this night before. What's the challenge of toggling these things and making something new, Alex.
Yeah, when you talk about these nights that are IP based, like the Harry Potter and Star Wars stuff, there are like all these stakeholders that aren't involved when it's just us doing something that we want to do. So this was the first year that we were actually allowed to do a Harry Potter design in-house. Usually it's you go through the manufacturer who has the license, and they have a booklet of these are the approved jerseys you can choose from. So that's why if you've seen over the past couple of years, other teams do Harry Potter nights. Almost everybody was wearing one of like 3 different jerseys. But I went ahead and I was like, hey, can I take a shot at designing my own?
Sure.
You know, we submit it through the manufacturer and they submit it to Warner Brothers, and you know, there's processes and stuff. And eventually they said, yeah. And then this jersey that we designed this year ended up being something that they added as a template so that other teams could also use it. Initially, we just did, you know, the one we're wearing is like a Gryffindor style Quidditch jersey type uniform, but they ended up taking that template and making it one version for each of the 4 houses. So, you know, other teams, if they want to pick a house that fits their colorway or something a little bit better, they can go for that. But yeah, we went with the classic, the Gryffindor, you know, the most recognizable one, I think. But yeah, there's a lot of outtakes and other, you know.
Let's see the jersey here. I want to see your good work here because, like you said, this is a Quidditch based for all you nerds out there who might know what we're talking about, right? These look like the uniforms that they wore when they played Quidditch and Harry Potter. That's a clean jersey, my friend. That's very impressive. Very nice. We'll show it here on the Zone TV page if you want to take a look at Alex Cedar's great work, the director of marketing and creative for the Omaha Storm Chasers. Now, you also brought a hat too. What's going on with that, Marty? Is that you can get that free hat X upon entry, or can you buy this at the
team store?
Buy the team store, and you just have it's a classic team or a house hat, right? It says Hufflepuff, but then you get that nice Omaha Storm Chasers logo there.
Yeah, we have all 4 houses available. And you can get those right now before the game if you want as a $20 add-on to any ticket package. You can go on, buy a berm ticket, buy a club seat ticket, whatever kind of ticket you want. And at checkout, you can add one of each house. You can add one house. You can add 20 Gryffindor hats, whatever, you know.
It's a comfy hat. I'm actually this isn't a gimmick. This is actually a very nice hat that you could wear regularly here. I don't know if I would buy Hufflepuff personally. I don't think that's my number one choice, but that's pretty great. Let's talk about these. So what's different for you when you got to make, all right, hey, Alex, we need you to make a jersey. And now tonight you got to make a Hawaiian shirt. And next week you got to go ahead and you make a hockey jersey, right? Like what's that challenge for you kind of switching different apparel, and how much this looks fun? Did you have fun making this Hawaiian shirt here for Faith and Family Night, which will take place on Saturday?
Absolutely. The process is a little bit simpler when it's a giveaway or something that just comes from us internally, and it's mostly I start everything, whether it's a jersey or a giveaway, like, does this look cool? Is this interesting? Is this fun? Would this make me want to come to a game and grab it myself?
Sure.
So we thought, we had success in the past with a Runza Hawaiian shirt. We always like to do a Runza wearable on our Runza's night, and people were kind of clamoring over, hey, do you have a Hawaiian shirt in the store? Or do you have, and we thought, okay, this would be a really cool summer giveaway. And then, we talked to different sponsors, and Scott, the Papillion Taco guy, is always game to hop on a cool, fun giveaway. He did some belt bags that we did before. But yeah, he's always down for something cool. So I knew I could kind of push the limits and just make something that would be fun for fans to wear.
This is 100% cotton. This is a good material, Marty Cordero. You're not cheaping out.
We're not playing around. Just like your Hufflepuff hat, We're not playing around with the Hawaiian.
Like, I want you to wear it again and again and again, and
that's it.
Get the word out about the product.
I'm so used to pro sport giveaways where it's like the crappiest material you can dream of, and they only give out 2 XL shirts because they don't want to make a bunch of different sizes and offend people when they're like, oh, you're an XL, you're a small, you're a large. So this is impressive stuff. Which, by the way, if it's not already going to Josh Hodson after this interview, I think Josh Hodson's going to be there at Faith and Family Night to go and get this Hawaiian shirt, because this is right up my producer's alley. All right, this is the question we've wanted to ask you. This is your opportunity, Alex Cedar, because we are here on the radio. And if there is any cool idea that you've had in terms of jerseys or in terms of things you've wanted to make that one of or many people might have shut down, that you want to get out there and maybe garner some support. People forget no one wanted to make the Deadpool movie until Ryan Reynolds, put it out there of what it looked like. And everyone all of a sudden was like, all right, they got to make it. This is your opportunity, Alex. What is something that you've wanted to make that you haven't been able to, but you're thinking about it? You can't get it off the top of your head, Alex.
No, the beautiful thing about the kind of, the place that I work is that most of the time I get to let my imagination run pretty wild.
Sure.
The jersey I'm wearing right now is one of our most popular on-field jerseys. It's like the powder blue script Omaha one. I saw a team photo from 1973 in our hallway in the press box and said, boy, I want to make that jersey. And then I went to our promo manager at the time and said, give me a reason to make a jersey from 1973. And she's like, oh, we'll do 70s night. And I was like, oh, that's perfect.
That is so easy. That is incredible.
If I have an idea, I'm not shy to bring that to our promo manager or anything. Literally, I don't think there's anything that I've been clamoring to do besides like a potential like refresh of our full official on-field uniforms, bring them, a little bit more up to date. But, that's a much bigger project than just something you roll out on a theme night. But when it comes to any of these jerseys, we wear like our patriotic jerseys and all these theme night jerseys, I'm just kind of free to let my imagination run wild. And there's really nobody who puts a roadblock in my way.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Cordero, how are you feeling over here about this week? Pretty big week, a lot of promotions.
Yeah, look, the team's playing great.
Yeah.
Having won 9 out of 10. I think we're sitting in 6th or 7th place out of the million teams in the International League. And team's playing well. And, of course, it's been hot. But it looks like if you look at the forecast, we're going to be in the 80s this week. So it's an opportunity for someone. Over 3 of our last 4 homestands, we've had heat indexes over 100. It's been tough. It really has been. It's been a tough 5 weeks or so, 6 weeks or so of baseball at Warner Park. But this week, the weather's looking better. You mentioned it. There's something every single day,
man. It's awesome
that we're doing, and
including middays with Matt on Wednesday.
Yes,
I was going to get there. It's going to be a fun week. It's going to be a fun week. And Alex said, there's limited games remaining to come see the Chasers. So if you haven't been out yet, do so. And we still have a great opportunity. We've got a grass pass where you can buy a ticket for $99. You can buy a membership for $99 for the rest of the year and come to all 24 games if you want to.
That's awesome.
All you got to do is go on OmahaStormChasers.com. It's $99. And then if it's a family membership, you can get up to 4 people in for $199.
Wow.
Those 2 membership passes are still remaining on our website. So if you had youth sports, if you had travel, but you're now going to be here for the next 7 weeks when our last 24 games are, go get a grass pass and have that be. And then you get all these giveaways.
Sure.
You get all these games and it's the best value in the metro area, bar none.
We got 3 minutes before we have to hit our break here. So I'm going to ask you this one question. You can take it however long or however short you want, Marty Cordero, but this was the first time in a couple of years where you're only doing the Storm Chasers, right? You had some other responsibilities before, but now this is the first time in a while that Storm Chasers are all you're thinking about, all you're doing. Is there anything that you've learned sinking your teeth a little bit more, things that you've noticed that maybe you weren't noticing before about some of the things that are going on at Warner Park and some of the things that you guys are maybe looking to improve or realizing you're doing better than maybe you first thought?
Yes. And no to almost every question.
Sure.
And there's really not enough time to answer all that. But here's what I'll say. Having had the fortunate opportunity for 8 years to found and then help get Union to where they are now. And they had a great night Saturday night with the friendly down at Morrison Stadium. It was great to see Alexis and the team and Gary as an ownership group have success. However, moving on from there, I've been able to dial back in from again, I just said it, the best value in the metro is really what we provide. Because you have the highest level of any sport in the state. 75% of our players are going on to the big leagues. Sometimes they're ready, sometimes they're not. This has been a tough year. A lot of guys have had to go up to fill holes, but in a normal year, you're seeing major league ready players go into the big leagues. And that's not just for here. It's when the Iowa Cubs come to town or the St. Paul Saints. I mean, you think of everyone else that's played at Warner Park. I think it was 25 or so All-Stars in the big league game this year had played at Warner Park at some point in time with all the teams that had been in. So you're seeing that caliber, of athlete. And then when you talk about all the promotions, it's not something that's just because it's a Friday or just because it's a Saturday, but we have something pretty much on every night.
Yeah.
So if you are only able to come to the park on a Tuesday or Wednesday or Sunday, there's still something that's really meaningful from a promotional perspective. It's not just baseball, although there is that contingent out there that want us to just do baseball.
What you had one of those nights, you had only baseball night that happened
May
this
12th,
year.
we did that. Yeah, we did that.
I know Nick Batters had a great time announcing that game and having a good time with that
He did.
promotion. The director of creative and marketing, Mr. Alex Cedar, thank you so much for joining us and showing us all of your phenomenal work here. I mean, these Harry Potter jerseys, they're going to be going out the shelves, man. They look absolutely incredible, along with the hats and the president of the Omaha Storm Chasers, Marty Cordero. Thank you so much for always doing this. Always a great conversation. We will see you guys soon.
Yeah, see you on Wednesday.
I will see you Wednesday. Middays of Matt, July 29th will be at Warner Park broadcasting for the second time this season. We'll do one more broadcast right now.
What do you want to eat? I'm taking your order now. What do you guys want to sample?
Definitely not a hot dog. I think I'm good on the hot dogs. I think I'm okay. Anything.
So the 2-foot team wiener is off.
Well, that is on the docket. Chef Alex does an incredible job. We'll talk about that. All right. Middays Matt coming up next. Talk some more college football here on MWM on the 1620 Zone Radio Network. done. So anyway, I just had to bring that up. The Clevelander.com. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
The hotel?
No, the Cleveland.com.
Oh,
it's the publication that always does the Big Ten preseason media poll. Like they're always the website that does it. This comes out every year. They released their preseason poll today. Can you guess who the number one team is according to the Big Ten preseason poll by Cleveland.com?
Well, I'm going to go Ohio State because this is a Cleveland.com poll. I don't think that's the answer that it should be, but
very good.
I'm going to go different.
Ohio State, number one overall, according to Cleveland.com.
Okay.
Very good job. Number two. Can you guess number two?
Number two would be my number one.
Yeah.
Oregon.
All right. Who's your number three?
Indiana.
Okay. 3 for 3. Who's 4?
Thought we could stop there. Oh God, who's 4th? Michigan?
Michigan is 5th. Try again.
Oh.
You're right there.
I'm right there.
You're right there. Not in terms of geography.
Oh, okay.
But like, I think if you were to break down tier 1, tier 2,
USC.
Very good. Okay. Very good. All right. Can you get to 6? This is the next tier. I think tier 1 is Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana. Tier 2, I would say, is USC and Michigan. Then I think tier 3,
Illinois.
No, Penn State number 6.
Okay.
I wonder though, like plenty of talent going from Iowa State to Penn State, and they still have plenty of talent holding over too for Penn State on that roster. I do wonder though, like we've talked about Penn State's schedule, super easy schedule. Like they avoid the heavy hitters in the Big Ten. I mean, people would be very, very happy if Nebraska had Penn State's schedule. I wonder if the 6th ranking, does it have to do with how you actually feel about that roster and Matt Campbell, or does it have to do with, hey, they're probably going to take advantage of the schedule? 7 is Washington, 8 Iowa, 9 Illinois, 10 Minnesota, 11 Nebraska, 12 Wisconsin, 13 UCLA, 14 Northwestern, 15 Maryland, 16 Michigan, 17th Rutgers, and 18 Purdue. If you're going off of Nebraska's opponents this season, Nebraska plays number 1, number 2, number 3. They play number 7, number 8, and number 9, and then they play number 15, 16, and 17. Isn't that funny? They play one whole tier in 1, 2, and 3. They play a second whole tier in 7, 8, and 9, and then they play a third tier in 15, 16, 17. Maryland, Michigan State, and Rutgers. Nebraska 11th behind Minnesota. Interesting little tidbit here. We talked about Scott Docterman's preseason polls in terms of all Big Ten teams, right? Nebraska had 3 players listed on Scott Docterman from The Athletic on his all Big Ten preseason teams. Ja'Cory Barney and Kyle Cunanan were specialist mentions, and then Justin Evans, first team interior offensive lineman, according to Scott Docterman. Do you know how many players that Minnesota had on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd teams, according to Scott Docterman? You want to guess, Josh? How many you think they had? Because I mean, obviously it's a certain way because I'm asking, right?
I will say 3 players.
Josh, they had 5.
5.
They had 5
in
players.
this economy.
They had 5 players, which, by the way, too, if they were able to hold on to Coy Parrish, who is one of the best safeties in all college football, they would have easily have had 6 players on their team. And also their defensive end, Anthony Smith, who they weren't able to keep Coy Parrish, but they were able to hold on to him because there were plenty of people who wanted to get Anthony Smith to be on their team. He had 12.5 sacks last season. He is one of the guys who is being picked to be the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. Absolute stud. He was on their first team. But very interesting that, I think that some people are going to walk away and go, wow, I think Nebraska is going to be better than Minnesota. And some other, publications might have Minnesota or Nebraska ranked ahead of Minnesota. But it just goes to show you that Minnesota, they got 5 players on all Big Ten teams. Nebraska, they only have 3, and they got some interesting pieces there in Minnesota. We talked about them. I like part of their roster this year. Darius Taylor, we'll see. I mean, he was battling injuries last year. Can he, take that next step this season? And then Drake Lindsey, he's had a very interesting offseason, to say the least. But in his last couple games of the year, man, he started to figure it out in his first year as a starter at Minnesota. Don't sleep on the Golden Gophers this year. And I don't think Scott Docterman is doing that in Cleveland, and clearly Cleveland.com not doing that as well. 11th in the Big Ten in year 3 of Matt Rule is what? 11th in the Big Ten in year 4 of Matt Rule is what? Disappointing would be my
that's a good word.
Would be my word. Year 4 of Matt Rule, I think you are over your skis if you're saying they should be competing with Tier 1. I think that's too early. I really do. I mean, to be on that level, especially in this era of money where you know that Oregon and Ohio State, unsurprisingly, Ohio State was kind of the flag carrier, right? In terms of when we were first reading $20 million roster, $30 million roster, who were those articles about? They were about Ohio State. When we talk about Oregon, what do we always talk about with Oregon? Phil Knight money, Nike money, right? And I like to think that Phil Knight money doesn't grow on trees. But at this point, with how much they've spent on their roster, it might actually, at this point, in terms of Oregon and their ability to acquire talent, keep talent, not only just from high school recruiting, but the transfer portal as well. And then Indiana, what have we always said? If this were to be a slogan, this would be our slogan of the show if we had one. M equals N. Momentum equals money. Money equals momentum. Indiana, they have gotten a lot of money over the last couple of seasons because of the momentum that they've created, making the college football playoff in year 1 over Kurt Cignetti, making and winning the national championship last year over Kurt Cignetti. I don't expect Nebraska to be in that tier 1. And, maybe people expect Nebraska to be in that tier 2, to be competing with Michigan, to be competing with USC, which, by the way, to their credit, from a football perspective, from an on-the-field perspective last year, competed very closely with those two teams. Could have won that Michigan game, that USC game. If Dylan doesn't get hurt, who knows? In my opinion, and plenty of people's opinions, they end up winning that game. But to not even be in that tier 3, to not even be in that Washington, Iowa, Illinois tier, right? To not be in that 7, 8, and 9 after 3 years under Matt Rule, heading into year 4. That's where I think you would, with his repertoire of player development in terms of what you signed up for with Matt Rule. Like, I think it's over. You're overshooting here if you think that after 3 years, Rule would have Nebraska in tier 1 or tier 2 of the Big Ten. If that was your expectation, I think you were thinking, man, this guy's going to come in here and strap a rocket onto Nebraska. And I think that's, even though Cignetti's done it, and everyone wants to point at that, myself included, that's a lot harder. That's a lot harder than maybe people give it credit for.
If you're pressing forward with this, hi, I'm Matt Rule. This is my most talented team since I've gotten to Lincoln.
Ooh.
And the media, and I understand the media doesn't always know everything, and they're saying you're the 11th best team in this conference.
Not good. That's not good, man.
Somebody's going to be right and somebody's going to be wrong.
Let's go to Big Ten football. Big Ten football standings 2025. The 11th team. Who was 11th last year in the Big Ten?
Ooh, okay, yeah.
18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. All right. So the 11th team last year, funny enough, Nebraska.
Oh, my.
They were tied with Northwestern, who were 4-5 last year. Purdue was 18th at 0-9. 17th was tied with Maryland, Michigan State. 15th, Rutgers and Wisconsin at 2-7. And then 14th was Penn State and UCLA at 3-6. So 11th this year would give you where Nebraska was last year, 4-5. Okay, let's play my least favorite game in college football. Would you take that?
Would I take 4-5?
Would you take 4-5, which means assuming, and that makes an ass out of you and me, but assuming that Nebraska does what they need to do against their 3 non-conference opponents, which, by the way, we'll get to that in a second, what they just announced about 14 minutes ago. 7-5, 4-5 in the Big Ten. My least favorite college football game. Would you take that? Josh Otson, would you?
It is better than I believe they will do this year. So, yes, I guess I would take that. I don't know if impressed is the right word.
No.
No. I would
God, no.
Be the July 27th version of Josh Odson would be pleasantly surprised if they finished 7-5. Because I don't think it's the most talented team Matt Rule has assembled in Nebraska. I also think it's the most
Would you say
difficult schedule.
Would you say 24? Who would you say is our most talented team? 24. It's fine.
I don't pick one. I don't
Yeah.
care.
Here's what I'll say.
It ain't this one.
Here's what I'll say. Man, to just be like right now, I'm taking 7-5.
Feels like settling.
Yeah, doesn't it? Doesn't it? And
there's a wide array of records you could have if you just rolled the dice.
Because what is 7-5? 7-5 is you beat those tier 3 teams, Michigan State, Maryland, and Rutgers, and then you beat one of Illinois, Washington, and Iowa, right? Hypothetically, more than likely, right? That's the most likely outcome.
Sure.
Would you just take that right now? You're right. It feels like settling. It just feels yucky. It feels yucky to be like, yeah, that's what I want. Yeah, that's what I'm going to take. I don't. And I don't.
It's not what I want.
And I don't think finishing 11th in the Big Ten in year 4 is acceptable by any sort of margin. I don't. I don't think that is acceptable. I don't think that's what you sign up when Matt Rule was hired. So this is Trev. This is a question for Trev. And I guess a question for Troy now, because he's the one who signed him to the 2-year extension. When you hired him and then when you extended him, were you signing up for 11th in the Big Ten in year 4? Is that what you were signing up for? Is that what you thought you'd be? Is that where you thought you would end up? Ending year 4, you're 11th in the Big Ten. You're still under 500 in the Big Ten. No. Is that where you thought you would be? Hell no. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You did not sign up for that. So you know what? You tell me, Matt, would you take 4-5 and 7-5 overall? No, man, I wouldn't. I would still be sitting here and being like, yeah, I guess they didn't get worse, but we aren't where I thought we would be. But after what, at that point, it would be 50 games under Matt Rule.
But 2027. It's all about 2027.
I mean,
and I think that's why they've been telling you that it's all about 2027, because they kind of know it's not all about 2026.
But it's all about 2027 from a recruiting class perspective. And once again, do you think that Trey Taylor and all these guys are just going to come in fresh out the box after playing high school football and immediately impact your play in the Big Ten? I don't think so.
Hope springs eternal.
So then is it really all about 2028 according to that logic? Because that is something I ain't buying.
Just keep kicking the can down the road as long as you can.
Okay, but
until they tell you to pack your bleep and leave.
Kenneth goes tired. Year 3 Matt Rule bump. Yeah, that's a wired year 5 Matt Rule bump. I don't know, man. I just there are. If you told people 7-5, would you take it? Aren't there a concerning amount of people who would say yes to that? Probably.
Yeah.
There'd probably be a concerning amount of people who would take that immediately, which is not representative of a healthy situation or a healthy fan base. John goes, you better take 4-5 in the Big Ten because the record is more likely to be 2-7. And you also better take 7-5 until the 500 coach is fired. This is a good text from Steve.
Hi, Steve.
42951-1620, Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Why does that surprise you? What more would you expect from a mediocre coach in Matt Rule? I want to make this very clear. 7-5 and that ranking and being 11th in the Big Ten preseason. I'm not saying that surprises me. I'm not saying that shocks me. I think that's where everybody would put them, right? And I think that after the seasons that Iowa and Washington and Illinois have had, like, I would be more surprised if they were ranked ahead of those teams heading into the preseason polls. I'm not saying I'm surprised by that. I'm just saying if year 4 Matt Rule, right? I think when Matt Rule got hired in year 1, I don't think anybody would think, hey, in year 4, I would take 7-5. And I think that is indicative of the things that have happened while he's been coach here. And I don't think that this is the appropriate time to go back in the time machine and say, hey, what would we change? And what went wrong and what needed to go right and so on and so forth. But I do think it is very proper for me to sit here and say, yeah, after his 4th year, I wouldn't exactly be thrilled with having the same record you had in year 3 in the regular season. And I wouldn't exactly be thrilled with being 11th in an 18-team conference. And I would not exactly be thrilled with being under 500 in the Big Ten once again. I don't think that's unfair for me to say in the slightest.
What if I told you that if they go 7-5 this year, you'll be able to get into the Northern Iowa game in 2027 for 3 canned food items?
Let's go to Jason on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Prairie Flower Casino, play longer, win more. Jason is on the hotline. Hey, Jay, you going to take 7-5, my man?
Well, it's an interesting question. I probably not. And the reason why is just because what you guys were just saying. This is year 4 in Coach Rule's regime, and to have a record under 500 in the Big Ten and then to get 7 wins, that's not what we envisioned when we hired him.
Mm-mm. No.
By this point in time, we definitely was thinking we were going to be at 9 or 10 wins, competing for a conference title in playoffs at this point. And right now, that's not happened. So 7 wins. Okay, now 7 wins would also mean that we beat a team that we weren't supposed to, because I heard that we're favored in 6 games and that we're an underdog in 6 games. So
yeah, it depends on where you look, but that's the consensus. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a baby step. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I don't know who we would beat, but it would be somebody that we're supposed to be as an underdog to. But that's baby steps, because I mean that's year 2, year maybe year
I understand.
3, but you know, so 7 wins to me personally, I'm expecting 9 or 10 wins this year, and that means we're going to beat teams that we're not supposed to beat.
You're expecting that, or you want that? You expecting that?
Well, I guess you're right. I want that.
You want
because
it? Yeah.
Recruiting and the guys we're putting in the NFL is just not there. So how can you expect to win 10 games when you don't have any NFL draft picks?
Yeah.
Because you're talking smoke and mirrors at that point. You're not just lining up and beating somebody man to man. So Nebraska, I've been telling people this is the coach's last year, and a lot of people are telling me that that's not going to happen because of the buyout.
Yeah.
But I think if it goes left really bad, and I don't want it to, but if it goes left really bad, he will be gone after this year.
Thanks, Jason. I don't know if I agree with that. I think the buyout might be too big, but I do totally understand the sentiment of what did you there's 2 different questions here. What do you expect now, and what would you take now, versus what you expected in year 1 and what you wanted in year 1, right? What you expect now and what would you take now is 7-5 for some people. What you wanted in year 1 and what you expected in year 1 is not 7-5 in year 4. And I think that it's pointing out the obvious that things have not gone the way that you wanted it to, or nor that you expected it to. But it's worth pointing out. And that's the one thing where it is an interesting conversation to be had, and maybe we'll have it, is if he were to go 7-5 in year 4 and you eliminate the buyout, let's say the buyout doesn't exist, that there's no buyout. Matt Rule goes 7-5 in year 4. Would you give him a 5th year? I think a lot of people would say, yeah, probably not. Probably time to move on. But once again, if they were to finish 11th in the Big Ten and they were to go 7-5, I would not be happy with that. I'd be very disappointed with that. And I would, like Jason mentioned, would love to see them beat teams that we don't, quote, expect them to beat. Seems like a pretty low bar to clear, if I'm being honest. Let's take a break. Robin Washut of Husker Online joins us next here on Middays with Matt.
Now, back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, Chicago's calling Husker fans. 1620 Zone is teaming up with Union Bank and Trust to send one lucky Nebraska fan and a guest to Chicago to see Nebraska Nebraska volleyball play Missouri at historic Wrigley Field. How to win? Listen for the Road to Wrigley Sounder. Sounds like, hey, everybody, Harry Carey here. I believe that's Will Ferrell doing the impression. You hear that sounder, go to 1620thezone.com and enter for a chance to win. Prizes include 2 tickets to Nebraska volleyball versus Missouri, round-trip airfare, 4-2 from Omaha to Chicago, 2-night hotel stay in downtown Chicago, and a $100.50 gift card for the winner to use for dining, Ubers, merchandise, and more. Road to Wrigley presented by Union Bank and Trust at UBT. People don't have your money has people. Member FDIC. We are joined by Husker Online and On3 writer for Nebraska basketball and Nebraska football, Mr. Robin Washut. Robin, how are you?
Doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing great. I just got a dump of Nebraska basketball content from you. A lot of players talked today. Bowden Kapke, Sam Orn, Trevin Lenhart, along with the head man Fred Hoiberg. You were there covering it all. Your biggest takeaway from whomever it might be, whether it be the players or head coach Fred Hoiberg, after today's media scrum for Nebraska basketball?
Not a lot of breaking news. It was more just kind of putting a bow on summer workouts. They're going to wrap. I think they got 5 more workouts left before they let the guys kind of take a break before returning for the start of the fall semester. So they're kind of just putting the finishing touches on what has been a pretty important summer in a lot of respects. And, once again, the big theme is just kind of about who's going to take the baton as the vocal leaders. They lost so much with that, with Rink and Sam Hoiberg and Jamarcus Lawrence. And they're still, I think, trying to become a louder team. I guess if there's any criticism Fred Hoiberg has had of this group thus far, it's that they're still too quiet, especially on the defensive end. And he said he's never seen a great defensive team be quiet. So that's still very much a work in progress, but it sounds like there is progress being made. You're starting to see guys get a little more comfortable. I think that's kind of a natural thing when you have a bunch of new guys coming to Nebraska for the first time. Like, no one's just going to come in and assert their dominance or anything. Everybody's just kind of easing into it. But Bowden Kapke is probably at the front of that. He's just kind of naturally programmed to be that kind of vocal leader. But you're seeing other guys like Trevin Lenhart, like you mentioned, even Braden Frager. It's crazy to think that, he's one of the veteran players in that locker room. He's a 3rd-year player in the program that I think, even though he's, from a game experience standpoint, pretty young, he's one of the old heads in that group, just, as far as being around Nebraska and understanding what Nebraska's coaches expect. So that's kind of was the big theme of today, was just the leadership component and, just how critical that part is as much as anything they do schematically or personnel wise, just because, Fred continues to say that's what made last year's team so good. When times got tough, they found a way to lean on each other and figure it out, in the most difficult adversity. And what remains to be determined how well this group is going to be able to do it compared to last year.
You've done a great job keeping us updated here on the 5-for-5 Jamarcus Lawrence situation. You wrote in your basketball tunnel talk on Husker Online and On3. It's a great article that you write every Friday. Just some updates on that. Has anything changed over the weekend? I know that you wrote on Friday that he hadn't entered his name yet in or hadn't put his name in a lawsuit that represents a bunch of different athletes to get that 5th year, because the class of 2022 is being left out. They're not being grandfathered in. If Jamarcus Lawrence were to be grandfathered in, there is one available spot in Nebraska's roster for him to take. Well, is there any other update on that so far in terms of interest from both parties for Jamarcus to potentially play next season if he got a 5th year?
Not that I'm aware of. When I talked to him last week, he said that, he hadn't even been in communication with an attorney, was still kind of deciding with, his family, his agent, and even, staying in communication with Nebraska coaches about whether that was a path that he wanted to take or if they should just kind of sit back and let some of these other cases maybe iron things out. So it's kind of just a lot of unknowns remain as far as Jamarcus is concerned. The one thing that we do know is if he were granted the opportunity, Jamarcus would 100% come back to Nebraska, and Nebraska would 100% welcome him back. But the kind of situation here is that nobody really has any answers, and eventually there's going to have to be a decision as far as this coming season goes, one way or the other, because Jamarcus has things he needs to figure out. Because professional opportunities beyond coming back to college, like those doors are only going to stay open for so much longer before the G League rosters start getting set, before international seasons start getting underway. So he's kind of up against the clock that way. And then for Nebraska, I don't know how Jamarcus is a little bit unique of a situation given how seamless his kind of reintegration would be, but you're still adding a new piece after spending the entire summer trying to get these guys, to figure out roles and find their place. And all of a sudden you're going to throw in a potential starter into the mix in August. There's some, ripple effects by doing that. So the longer this plays out, maybe the less appealing it gets for Nebraska, just at the risk of potentially disrupting the work and chemistry that you've built, over these last couple of months. So there's just a lot of unknown variables that, if the NCAA suddenly said, hey, you know what, all those 2022 seniors that played 4 years are suddenly eligible, Jamarcus is going to be on campus tomorrow in practice. But the likelihood of that happening, I don't know. I have my doubts. It seems like the NCAA is digging its heels in with this, even as more lawsuits come out. I know there's a kid from Wake Forest, Nate Calmese, who just started up another lawsuit. So, they're popping up all over the place.
Yeah.
But it sounds like the NCAA is just going to fight tooth and nail to, keep from, changing up their policy on this deal. So, I guess the only other thing left to do would be Jamarcus tying his name to a lawsuit. And as of last week, he was very much unclear if that was a route he even wanted to pursue.
Yeah, it's interesting. You kind of bring up some of those points. I'll just ask you point blankly, what would it look like with him on the route? Is it just seamlessly he's back into the starting lineup and then Lenhart comes off the bench? Or could you, and maybe this is an off the wall question, but he's done this before in his career and he was very effective, especially the year before he went to Rhode Island, coming off of the bench, right? And being that spark plug off the bench and being that kind of scorer that keeps the second unit afloat. Is that a possibility for him if he were to come back, or would it just be as easily as, no, he's in the lineup now and we'll figure out what you do with Lenhart?
Yeah, I don't think Jamarcus is the kind of guy that's going to demand to be a starter. If it works out that way and he's better than what they have, then yeah, and there's a chance that might be the case. But there's competition there too. They really like what they have with Trevin Lenhart and Taj DeGorville, and Cale Jacobson's working in that point guard spot. So they've got some options that they like there, and if again, that's kind of the gamble you would take from Nebraska's end of it. Obviously, what you're getting with Jamarcus. He's been an extremely productive player for you for multiple seasons. Multi-year starter. But again, you just got to wonder what the reaction would be with the other guys in that room that spent all summer trying to earn their place, and all of a sudden you're throwing in a guy that's immediately going to take minutes from them. So it's a fine line you have to walk if you're Fred Hoiberg. Obviously right now it's a no-brainer. You take Jamarcus, but the longer this goes, I think the more dicey it gets. Just with potentially disrupting what you've been working so hard to build over these last couple of months.
All right, real quick before we let you go here, Robin Washut of Husker Online and On3. I don't know if you saw it because you did such a great job covering kind of the media scrum with all the different players at Nebraska basketball, but did you see the announcement of now another deal has been released for the Ohio game, one of the non-conference games for Nebraska football? After the Cole Swindell concert's been added to the North Dakota game, and now you have the 2 for $50 deal with the Bowling Green game, you now can get 4 tickets for $100, a flash sale for Nebraska football versus Ohio, which now means that you have all these different types of sales happening for these 3 non-con games. That's indicative of what to you, Robin Washut?
I think it kind of says exactly what you're alluding to, that sales are not where Nebraska's hoped they would be, and they're having to resort to some different tactics to try to generate interest in buying those tickets. And that's, I mean, I guess it's not a stunning development, just considering, what has transpired over the years and just kind of where Nebraska football is. And, the only way that corrects, for Nebraska side is if they start winning. So, I mean, it's kind of a situation that has gradually led to this point. And it kind of feels like, like a concert that, is announced and, they're pumping it up as this big show and, ticket sales just kind of are stagnant. And all of a sudden they start doing these are twofer packs and buy one, get one and all that sort of thing, just to try to generate a few more sales. That's kind of what it feels like with these football games, which is just wild to think about considering what Nebraska football tickets have been for my entire life. But that's just kind of the reality of the situation that, they're having to resort to some new tactics to try to make up what might be dragging down ticket sales a little bit to this point.
Yeah, the bill always comes due, right? In a way, this is like the opposite factor where the bill isn't coming due because of, in part, the disappointment that has been endured by this fan base year after year after year with this football team. It's a very interesting situation to be tracking. And if you've been tracking this for the last couple of weeks, it's been building and building and building. Now you have discounts on all three non-con games, and makes you think about that Tennessee game a little bit. If they were playing that power conference opponent, probably I don't think they would be doing flash sales on that game. We'll just say that for the least. Robin Washut, Husker Online and On3, doing a great work as always, both football and basketball. We will talk to you again, my friend. See you soon.
Sounds good, man. See you later.
Robin Washut of Husker Online. Yeah, just announced about an hour ago. 4 tickets for $100. Look, there is something to be said where it's like, hey, great, there are times where Husker football tickets are very hard to get and they're very expensive. And,
bring the family.
There definitely was a time where people were like, oh, these tickets are way too expensive. I want to go to a game, but it's not worth it. If you want to go to a game, now it is worth it. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is, man, they got to pull a lot of strings that they haven't had to pull before in order to get these tickets sold, which I think just says a lot about not only the current state of the football program and its interest from its fans, but also the current state of the importance of money for the athletic department. So just a couple tidbits on that. We will do what to watch and dog of the day coming up next here on Middays with Matt. What are we watching, Josh Odson?
I don't know. Maybe
Yesterday was the first. Was like, holy crap! I need Sunday Night Football. I actually watched Carrie Underwood, Mike Tirico Sunday Night Football intro last night. Okay, that's how bad it got.
If there was like I'm very anti top 10 like lineman of the 80s countdown. But if that was on tonight, I would choose that over our options.
You know what? We should just put what the NFL Network schedule is.
It's last year's wild card round of the playoffs.
Oh, the entire?
There's 2 games on tonight. I looked because
Which games
I
are there?
wanted to the Chargers. Was that a game?
I don't think so.
No, I don't know.
Wouldn't that have been a
2 random?
It would have been
games.
a Houston New England game, right? And then it also would have been a Buffalo game, I believe.
Tonight it is the 2025 NFC wild card. This is from January 11th, 2026. Niners, Eagles, and then right city, wrong team. Rams, Panthers.
That was okay. Wait, Rams, Panthers. That was a good game. I might actually watch that.
That's on at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock.
There was a moment where we thought, holy crap, the Panthers are going to win a playoff game.
That's right.
And the Rams had to come back and win that one. That's a good one. I might be watching that.
All right, but here's what's actually on tonight.
Go.
Guardians, Reds at 6 on ESPN, followed by Red Sox Athletics at 8:40 on MLB Network. You could watch Beverly Hills Cop. That's on tonight. Top Gun, Men in Black. These are movies that are on your cable channels.
Beverly Hills Cop has Eddie Murphy.
That is correct.
Yes. Look at me. It's Beverly Hills.
All right, folks, let's talk right now. I'm going to kill your bookmaker. I'm going to rip his throat out. I will blow this man out. I will step on his throat until the man chokes. Let me tell you how. Dog. Winners. Dog. Winners. Dog. Winners. Dog. Winners. Dog. Winners. I'm on a roll.
Dude, you got to love dogs, right?
All right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to bet against my own team to hope I jinx him. But David Peterson is pitching, and the only time I ever saw David Peterson pitch is when he gave up like 20 runs to this St. Louis Cardinals team. So give up the I'm going to bet, you know what? I'm going to get my Cubs card taken away. I'm not going to do that. Give me the Chicago White Sox to beat the New York Yankees tonight. Plus 133. Noah Schultz on the mound. Fun show at Middays with Matt. That was a great time. We talked all about the Big Ten media, preseason polls. Had a great interview with Robin Washut. Touched on some young studs in sports. We also talked to Marty Cordero and Alex Cedar of what you can expect at Warner Park with the Omaha Storm Chasers, along with a bunch of other fun topics. And Matt McMaster's top 3 NFL training camp stories that not enough people are talking about. Something of that. So go back and check out the radio replays. USC and the crossover coming up next here on the 1620 Zone Radio Network.